Good morning. We're back with the knockout stage, day 2 for the League of Legends 2024 World Championship. Yesterday, upsetting game between LNG and Weibo. Weibo really showing that LNG didn't want to win. Jahu smurfed the shit out. But today, we have BLG versus Hanwha. And it's going to be an insane game. I hope Hanwha can take it.
월즈에 굉장히 강한 라이너들이 많습니다. 여기서 그치지 않고 강해지도록 하겠습니다.
花生的话，我觉得他跟队友的协调，还有一些指挥在支援上这方面，我觉得做得特别棒。我觉得他弱点的话，当遇到比较强的打野一直给他野区压力的话，我觉得他会很慌张，然后没有什么自己的节奏了。
In the air fryer,
我会再次击碎你。
我的技能的人没什么想说的，我只需要在比赛中证明我自己的实力就行。我觉得今年的 PL 队伍面对LCK 都是往球员战胜的，我一点都不怕他们。 说去年我们击败了多兰击败了 PL 的第3名选手2次。I can't any it out. 今年我们一样会击败他们。Sorry about the volume not being maxed. 我们和韩华都是各自赛区的1号种子，这次我们会证明谁是最强的。나이트 선수 2년 만에 다시 만나게 됐는데 LPL에서 제일 잘하는 거 알지만 이번에는 저희가 이어서 올라가도록 하겠습니다. You make them believe. Damn. The G2, the cap's face got removed from the heaviest the crown intro. Here we go.
Mesdames et messieurs, bienvenue à la Didas Arena pour une nouvelle journée de compétition. Aujourd'hui, nous sommes tous réunis pour le 2e quart de finale des mondiaux de League of Legends. Aujourd'hui, un match au sommet entre 2 vainqueurs dans leurs régions respectives. Premier entré dans l'arène, champion de LCK accueilli Hanwha Esports. Top lane, go on! Jungle, Peanut! Mid lane, Seka! Décalique, Viper! Support, Delight! Maintenant, veuillez accueillir leurs adversaires. Champion de LPL, Billy Gaming. Top lane, Billy.
Ladies and gentlemen, to the quarterfinals here. It's our second one. And man, we're getting into some of the good stuff extraordinarily early, these knockouts. BLG taking on HLE. 2 first seeds already about to duke it out.
And the fact that they have to play each other in the quarterfinal is a result of BLG fumbling a little bit in the Swiss stage. So neither one of these teams are happy about facing the #1 seed of their main rival region.
Yeah, I think there is a lot for BLG to prove here, try and figure out how they want to adapt to the meta, what style they want to come into this series with. But when you look back at last year, with the 3 members that are on Halmod that used to be on Gen G, BLG are very familiar with this squad, so definitely going to want to prove themselves once more against those.
And it's such a rivalry match as well because of the 3 members. I don't know what's going to happen in draft either, which we were trying to debate for the past like several hours coming in. The red side team, BLG, whether or not they ban Yone Aurora is massive, and we're going to get to see it here.
Exactly, we're going to find out right now. And we were so excited about the story, I forgot to introduce ourselves. I'm Atlas, this is Jack, and that is Dagda. And this is Jack and I's first cast together since 2019.
Aurora ban, respect.
We've had Jan on a quarterfinals broadcast in that amount of time.
I hate the Renekton ban.
Just very much looking forward to this.
It's just amazing. Let's get into the League of Legends now, though, because the Kalista ban that we were discussing in the bus ride over is actually going to occur here from Halmod Life Esports on the blue side. Renekton taken away as well. Aurora, Yone, and then question mark.
Business and Jax
We were
player.
back and forth on whether it be like Sejuani or Maokai to try and punish Peanut in the jungle. I really like the Kalista ban though, because Viper is...
You have to ban Yone. Zeka is the Yone player.
He's opted more towards things that are more...
Like everyone's like, oh, I play Yone because he's meta. Zeka's like, I almost won world on this champion. But he won world on Akali and Silas.
And it's actually really surprising to hear that HLE is banning the Skarner on blue side. It's opening up a ban to me for BLG because oftentimes that's something that you would just see first picked if Yone Aurora are already gone.
And I think the reason is because you've got the Xin Zhao that Shun has been willing to bring out as an answer to it, right? So at least you have some answers, but Jax being banned away by Bin is really interesting. Maybe expecting that to be the first pick here.
That's what that tells me, actually.
Huh?
We're expecting...
Whoa! What the fuck? Ayo!
Crazy, actually. Silas was my pick for what's going to be the really defining pick for the rest of the World Championship. It ended up just getting banned yesterday, and here's why I think Silas is strong. It's because so many of the meta champions actually have really good ultimates, so I think teams are going to be willing to just pick it early. I wasn't expecting a first pick Silas, though.
Yeah, I think it is basically a call-out, because I thought they'd ban the Ahri away from Naipa, basically saying, hey, look, we don't care if you have the Ahri, we already have a good matchup into it. I want to see, though, what they decide to pair with this Ahri, though, because traditionally you want something that's a bit more, you know, AD focused and can pack a punch, but Vi is exactly that champion coming through.
Pack a punch! Call of Duty reference, I love you, Dagda!
Difficult to pick that Morgana for the jungle because your mid-jungle duo then gets a whole lot weaker with that damage profile. Peanut is a huge fan of playing Morgana though, so we'll see whether he does pivot over to that. Nocturne up and available though, there are a lot of things here, as there is the Gnar lock-in.
Taking the Gnar away, there's 4 champions in top lane. Well, 5 if you count Rumble.
I also wouldn't be surprised to see the Ezreal taken away here, just to say, hey look, I want this self-kill for myself. I've already got the Vi that's coming my direction, and Ahri as well, and I have a composition that wants to join in.
What the fuck?
You were looking at something like a Xayah.
Doran!
Here as well for
My man, no way!
That you would see
Okay.
here, but it's a locked-in Poppy, and it can actually be a flex pick.
I immediately thought Peanut, but you're exactly right. Could be Delight.
Most of Worlds we've seen the Poppy as support. Delight has 2 Poppy games already, and lane swap could be a play for this.
If I was BLG here, though, I'd take the Ezreal, or, well, it looks like they're going to go Rumble, but essentially just ban away.
I mean, you kind of have to take a tab later, and another both getting banned.
Towards the jungle, which is okay against what's on the opposite side, or you're just getting...
Because if you don't take Rumble, then like Rumble Kasate get banned. And then it's like, okay, I'm forced to play Cammy into Poppy. It's like...
Exactly, and we saw Ezreal find...
I hear we're going to ban 80 carries.
Yesterday, in part because so many teams are dominating with dive composition, so we were thinking...
Like, what do you want to give Elk? That's the real question. They're picking AD on
this
4.
phase of the draft, we have a mismatch at the roles that have been locked in, if I'm assuming that Poppy is a support. So we'll see if BLG target bans the junglers with the next set.
And the thing that's really interesting about Sylas as well is it does deter you from picking champions like Ashe that have sort of game-breaking ultimates, just because Sylas uses it and it does a bajillion damage as well. There are certain things that can be kind of warped by what's being decided here in just the first pick.
Well, so far there's amazing ults for Sylas. Like, the support's gonna have to... It has to be Rel. It can't be Rakan. You give Sylas a Rakan ultimate, it's over.
It nearly is inviting BLG to take the Ezreal, so maybe they have something in their back pockets of, hey, we've got some answer to an Ezreal, which is a late game scaler, or we just don't have to operate in that mid game with
I
them.
mean, Viper
I want to see
was a
some
really
range
known
come out
Zeri
from
player,
because
so...
right now they don't have a whole lot of
Zeri was the original
Maybe
answer.
if they do go for that Ezreal pickup,
Like, the late game answer.
Picked up into it, another conversation that we had earlier on. They have to play it safe, banning away the Ashe.
Yeah, Ashe is still super strong. The amount of vision you get from Hotshot, I almost lost my scrims yesterday because, like, the Ashe was always revealing me, and I was always, like, second to the objective because they got to, like, round the block first. Hopefully you guys are excited for my silly cast.
Like a Senna that was talked about as we were coming into this
Yeah.
tournament, but we haven't really seen, but instead just going to try and take away Delight's main engaged champion.
And with Ezreal being up, I think Viper will play it. The other thing that I know isn't that popular is Mosquito Jhin, because you already have so many divers and he can stay really far back. So I wouldn't be too surprised if we end up seeing Elk on Jhin to pair with the Rel.
There is a lot of damage on the side of BLG, so maybe we don't mind it as much, although I am definitely not exactly a Jhin enthusiast.
The other option is in a Misfortune, which when you've got so much lockdown and kind of AoE engages, that could work out very well, but you are heavily enforcing this
Momo cow
for yourself as BLG, which could work out, but otherwise, if you can't...
Hey, yo, it's Donut on... no, it's Peanut on Poppy. Let's go.
So the Sejuani ban ends up being burned by BLG. We haven't seen much jungle Poppy here, and you're right, Dag, it's the MF.
Yeah, Misfortune going to come in. Does feel like a bit of a dangerous game for MF. Although you don't necessarily have sort of the classic counters in things like Leona that can have a really long-range solo flare to interrupt you and things like that.
I mean, MF's ultimate has, man.
Even the ultimate coming out from the Poppy as well.
Has AP scaling.
Decent range to knock her away. Certainly interruption.
And it says builds a Shadow Flame and means MF's ult can crit.
And so much damage in one.
Alright, yo! This game's already high!
To the Sylas just getting too tanky, the late game.
I'm so hyped.
To get locked down.
But you know the rules.
Maybe the
Mic down, cocks up.
Great opportunities to play out team fights as this game goes on later.
It's time to shut the fuck up.
2 items, BLG could just rock you at any second.
Yeah, and I'm not going to lie to you, I do feel like coming out of this champion select, BLG's composition feels that little bit more cohesive, feels like it's going to have what it needs to get over the line, but HLE so much comfort for so many of these champs.
And I can't wait to see the start of this game. Hear me out, to see if we see lane swaps. But it's because I think one of the things that's made BLG look a little lackluster is they were able to generate so many organic advantages domestically through laning, but in lane swapping, they're not getting that same level. Now, with that being said, since we do have melee versus melee supports, there's not a massive incentive for lane swaps, but I still think HLE should be scouting for it and probably going for it to diminish some of BLG's early power.
Yeah, we've seen a lot of these Ezreal Alistairs do opt in for the lane swap, but it is now time. Let's jump onto the Rift for game number 1. Humble Life Esports taking on BLG, our second quarterfinal. And I cannot wait to see who's going to be able to draw first blood in this series. HLE on the coveted blue side, so it does feel like they're the ones that really do have to draw first blood in this one.
Yeah, and you can already see they're setting up for the lane swap, but I think this is smart from Hanwha also with the champions spin.
Zeka already finding an angle onto this Rumble, not quite getting the stun, the heroic charge not quite working, and down to 100, but he'll walk out, no flash needed.
This is huge though, wait, they might keep going here.
Tanking.
All right, Zeka's just gonna dive underneath, doesn't find the chain, there's the headbutt for the kill. They have to throw the kitchen sink at it, Knight's gonna trade one back. Oh God, the flash! gosh! They just trade places and he keeps walking! All right, it's a 1-for-1 in the end. Everything's even. Just a calm early game, gentlemen.
We have to take stock of who got the kills, though. It's a kill to Knight's Ari versus a kill to Delight's Alistair. That's going to be favoring in BLG, and I think Peanut is going to be kicking himself a little bit because if he flashed for a better angle on the initial E, I think they kill Bin before the dive.
Yeah, but now I'm kind of curious as to what the hell the plan is, because you can see Bin already moving down towards this bottom side. On is here to get on towards Viper, but Doran's returned.
Oh, it's a mess.
Doran's going to make his way up, throws the boomerang out, the crash down there from On to get him out of the way. I think it is a good time to remind everyone that Knight is pretty good at Ari. His win rate, 51-10, has an 11 KDA or something around there, and he is extremely good at this champion.
I mean, this was the champion that he started to make his name on with the murder book that he loves to pick up nice and early, but we'll have to see if he's going to return swiftly to try and pick that one up. But we've got back to standard lanes now, and honestly, I think that's a big win for BLG. Not only do you get Knight off to a great start, you actually get the matchup you were looking for as well.
And I think, especially with Delight having no flash, it's going to be a top lane that they can push in fairly free. I do think we're going to see a swap back fairly quickly as soon as they can get the right recall timings, but for the current time being, BLG has great lanes.
Yeah, plus the TP advantage for Bane is going to help out massively as well. He can pick up an early advantage for himself off of the reset, so for BLG, this is kind of the best start you could hope for. It's just now a case of can they try and move forward into the mid game with that strength, and with a composition where they can play sides with Knight on this Ari, I think it just unlocks On so well, and this is kind of where BLG found that success against G2, and they're looking to replicate that here against Hanwha Live.
They push it in, they're getting an early recall, and I actually think they might be swapping down. The original point of the lane swap where you'd have the 3-wave stack into an early dive is gone, and actually they're just going to take that cull by and immediately run back up top lane. So they had the tempo here to do whatever they want. You can see MF running out back to top lane, but On is going to have a move on Rel with flash, and he's going to be a solo support on the map here.
Yep, Zeka clears out the mid lane though, so there is at least some tempo available there. Something that BLG have always played really well around though is being able to get first move on the map. So looking forward to seeing what they can actually utilize with it as Elk does make his way back up towards that top side. Teleport back in from Zeka in the mid lane. Of course, Knight previously doing that. And Zeka, very, very good playing these melee champions and just staying even on farm. And it doesn't really make a whole lot of sense, especially against Knight's Ari that is so very, very good, keeping that health bar down. But as I say that, he's got some friends. The charm is going to connect as well. Peanut and Delight are trying to get in here in time. And we'll see whether they manage to. Able to dash his way out. No chains necessary. And it looks like Zeka will be okay for now.
Yeah, On had that angle, but he did such a long wraparound that Delight and Peanut were able to offer enough assistance that BLG wasn't willing to fully chase into the river. So a nice look, but ultimately it's not going to result in anything.
It does buy space for Knight in this mid lane and also kind of gives a lot of control of what BLG are looking for. We heard Shun in the opening saying, I want to try and target the enemy jungler. I want to try and put Peanut behind. And I think a large portion of that is going to be trying to get these wards in towards the enemy jungle, which you can already kind of see starting to set up on this bottom side of the map. And a lot of that is how are Shun and On going to work together. So having these small advantages with Elk having push in top, with Knight having push in mid, is going to open up for BLG to put that pressure onto Peanut once more.
Yeah, and now another push in here towards the top side of the map. The Misfortune, definitely very strong in the early game, but I think during this tournament, a lot of us have gone off the hype train when it comes to the MF, as this siege certainly starting to work out. I love this conversation about junglers though, gentlemen, because Peanut is on exactly the jungler that Peanut fans want him to be on. That is someone with a heck of a lot of utility and CC. The ability to farm camps and get strong, not as important for this guy, and we'll see whether he can make use of it in the ways that he has domestically. It's made him so incredibly terrifying throughout this season.
And I think it's really interesting to see how Shun has come out on towards almost counterpicking himself, going towards the vibe, but giving himself that opportunity to go toe-to-toe with Peanut once more. This was the matchup we watched for BLG and Gen G so often last year. MSI went to BLG, Worlds went to BLG, but Peanut looking for that revenge, and it's not Wei who's opposite him. BLG up back in towards Shun to see if they can find some of that success once more with the change in jungle.
Absolutely, but I will also say that BLG has pressure everywhere.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of whether or not they can convert it, because at the moment, HLE is absolutely on the back foot. Bin hit level 6 first, altered the wave, got an incredibly strong amount of tempo on his reset, and now we just need to see what the next play is. It looks like they're going to forego the dragon and just rush everybody into this rift scuttle right away. You can see Rumble and Ari already deploying.
Yep, you can see Delight level 4 as Vault Breaker being charged against Peanut. level 5 already over here. You can see everyone converging on BLG. These grubs should belong to them, but we'll see whether Zeka can say anything about it. Yeah, they have to get out of here. There is no shot for this one. Maybe try again with the next pack, but this is not yours, HLE.
And this advantage for BLG comes back to Doran having to blow that teleport level 1 to get down to the bottom side. Bin is able to roam up towards top side off of that nice push. He then teleports down to the bottom wave to pick up the majority of it as well. And it means you're in a totally fine spot. Sure, he lost a little bit as it hit the turret, but in the grand scheme of things, BLG are just happy to get that advantage for themselves.
He loses a couple minions and 1 plate. That's absolutely worth 3 grubs early, and I'm actually pretty surprised that we still have these dual lanes top. Nobody really wanted to blink first, but it's resulting in a very slight lead here for BLG, but honestly, we haven't seen this game break in any meaningful way yet.
And if everyone stays up towards the top side, when are we going to see our first dragon? There are pings going down onto it. I think that the teams are also asking that question. BLG possibly heading over there, but this could be a really late first raid.
Well, as our resident Australian, I assumed you'd be able to inform us how Australian lanes operate around dragons and things like this. I was relying on you for.
Well, I mean, it's just the opposite. It's just upside down, man.
Okay.
We're just the same as everyone else. Don't you worry. Our voices sound a bit weird, but that's about it. Okay, that's a flash pulverize. Headbutt comes back onto On. He's going to get knocked up. Zeka finds the chain, and he's got the Spirit Rush as well, so there should be no way out here for On. Zeka picks up the first one after our shenanigans in the level.
Zeka for Zeka, and Peanut with the control there. It's a play that happened on his side of the map when BLG was trying to play with their pushing lanes and actually get some type of deep vision. They punished so incredibly well. Zeka with the kill.
And this was something that we talked a lot about coming into today was, hey, how does On operate on BLG? He likes to go for these off-timers, likes to kind of play this bluff game as he gets vision and tries to encourage you to either back off or over-aggress when he has backup. But, hey, All My Life just called his bluff there and he gets caught. Now, nice, might be the same.
Yeah, could be in a little bit of trouble. Does have everything up and available. There's the Spirit Rush, but has to invest the Flash as well.
I mean, at the time right now, BLG's probably going to be able to get that Drake, but that's such a cheeky play by Peanut and Zeka. That was no ultimate on Silas. Being able to actually force the flash on Knight there is pretty nice, because otherwise that's a play where they wouldn't have been able to do anything. They still get a small win in the trade.
I think you've also now set up an opportunity for Hanwha to really look for a play with Peanut, using the fact that Doran has that teleport advantage. Oftentimes when you get to about a minute 30, Peanut will operate on towards a gank somewhere on the map, and it means that then post that gank, Hanwha only have to play off of 2 lanes, and it makes it way easier for them to focus down some of these objectives. And with just that minute and a half cresting now on towards the Void Grubs, I wouldn't be surprised to see Peanut make some sort of gank play top, hope that Doran can TP in, and just get that advantage then for yourselves.
All right, On looking for a bit of an angle, but the Shattering Strike not quite long enough there. Needs just an extra little bit on the Lance, unfortunately. So they are just going to push this wave in, and everything's kind of settled down. A minute until the next grubs do spawn, and we'll see whether Hanwha Life Esports are ready to fight around that one. One thing that we do want to say is a positive here for Hanwha is the fact that top lane CS, not something worth talking about at all. So far, Doran hasn't been killed multiple times in lane against Bin.
Australian top lane CS.
Yes.
Because I was looking top lane at the 80 carries, and their CS is also
Oh, you guys aren't hanging upside down?
Yeah.
Oh, that's how we do it in Australia.
Yes,
so if there is a lane swap, you just hang upside down and then everything looks absolutely fine. Reading's a bit more difficult.
I mean, honestly, my biggest takeaway from the first 10 minutes of this game is that we're in for a good series. The fact that these are the #1 seeds from the LCK and the LPL in the quarterfinals is a little bit crazy to begin with. We have so much potential revenge in this matchup as well, with Doran, Peanut, and Delight getting eliminated by BLG last year in the quarterfinals, wanting to come back and beat them. Zeka being on BLG 3 years ago in the LPL. We really do want 5 games. We would love to see it. It's so rare that we actually get to see LCK #1 versus LPL #1 at Worlds. It's only happened 2 times in Worlds history, so it's surprisingly rare, because one team might actually boom and be out early, or one team is so dominant. So the fact that this is close is encouraging to me, because I want 5 close games.
And that's my favorite thing about this Worlds, is that it's up in the air as to which team is the best from these regions as well, based on performance here at this tournament and in their playoffs as well. have to remember, Weibo just qualified for the semifinals, but they went 0-6 against this team that we're watching right now. So things don't make a whole lot of sense, but that should be 4 grubs going over to BLG. Will they make it out, or will they go for the team fight? That's the question. The teleport coming on in already. Knight is going to back up the rest of the team. Hanwha Esports taking control of the pit. Delight fumbling the engage a little bit. Magnus Storm comes through as Viper, trying to fight off Shun, but it's Zeka that picks up the first in the team fight. Shun down solo. Doran is better. Knight now just trying to escape, but everyone on here to the quarterfinals.
The Wombo combo was a no-go for BLG, and Hanwha punish exceptionally, getting Viper to safety and then fighting back against BLG.
And it might just end up being a Zeka diff. He wasn't up in CS, but he's first to kill in all these fights. I think the big decider in this fight, though, was how much was burned. Watch Viper on the left here. BLG was hoping to be able to one-shot him, but the elusiveness of this Ezreal completely just stops the follow-up from the VICC.
Oh, the buffer, yeah.
Knight and Shun burn everything and are ineffective, and then the Misfortune ultimate doesn't do nearly enough damage. Then Zeka can just obliterate them. Doran is doing Gnar damage all around the upside of this fight, and the 4-for-0 kind of out of nowhere is a massive win for HLE.
And it's just a disaster for BLG. The fact that you have to try and play off of this early spike and you've given so much gold across the Hanwha life sets up this 3-kill Sylas now to be such a massive threat on a side lane, and just make it impossible for BLG to really play their style of game that they want to.
And the last thing there is the big spikes, the big one-item spikes for BLG actually weren't there. We didn't have Knight's Malignance, we didn't have the first item for Rumble, and we didn't have the Bloodthirster for Misfortune. So BLG really wanted 6 grubs, but they're probably kicking themselves. They didn't just say it's a 3-3 trade, get early vision around the Drake, get those item spikes, and then start going towards a soul, because now they're in a world of hurt.
I want to see how BLG adapt, though, coming into their next fights, because clearly going on Viper was not the call there. He has so much mobility. It is incredibly difficult to lock him down in an area where BLG can actually manage to close the distance, especially with Peanut on this Poppy, but maybe Doran is the new target for Shun.
Yeah, if in doubt, gank Doran seems to be something that a lot of teams have caught on to, as he's going to flash, looking to try and escape. This one gets underneath the turret. Now the Vault Breaker comes down. The Harpoon is going to skewer him. So there's one back for BLG.
Nice gank. It will end up giving them gold, but not much else. They just burned 2 ultimates with the Hextech Soul open, so it was generally speaking them just thinking they weren't going to be able to win.
Should have been Hextech Soul, but unfortunately, we've only had 1 Drake, so it's not quite there yet.
sorry. Hextech Drake. They were going to lose a 5v5 at Drake anyway, so they made a fast play top lane, got some gold, and overall, smart play there by BLG.
And I think in a micro situation like that, Hanwha Esports aren't going to be too worried. Probably being able to pick up this Drake with all that positional advantage that they get, they're going to be very happy with. 1 second, and in fact, up right now is the Herald, so they can head over to Shelly and see whether she wants to help out as well.
But that's why I think this just snowballs into Hanwha getting this. You've just invested both of your top sides in ultimates to try and make that play happen. So if you look at the mini-map, I think Shun is instead going to try and make a play on this bottom side. On is showing on a ward, though, which I think is going to at least put some manners on Zeka, as he will just get on out of there, not wanting to deal with any members of BLG on that bottom side.
Yep, having a look at the lane economy snapshot, you can see Shun doing a decent amount here up against Peanut, but Peanut's Poppy does not need gold, and also Elk, having cashed in that cull, is still doing okay when it comes to money. However, everybody else, it's all just HLE favored, especially that 600 gold on Zeka's Sylas. Now, if you weren't watching Worlds in 2022, maybe you're a new fan of League of Legends, this pick was pretty good for Zeka when he did the whole winning the World Championship thing. So him being fed 3-0-2 right now, that is a big deal and something that BLG fans need to be worried about.
And I think it's incredible to see Zeka's journey over the course of his career. The fact that he got handpicked by Coma to come across the Vici Gaming, said, this is my guy, this is the new protege. And at the time, he was the Akali guy, he was the Sylas guy, but over now this time, he is just sprouted into this incredible player that has so many different champions, can play a multitude of different styles, and is now putting the hurt onto BLG on what was his signature pick to begin with.
And I think they might be trying a dive play on Zeka right now. He's respecting it. I think Zeka is a great example of success not being linear, because he peaked so hard at the 2022 World Championship, winning Worlds, and then was not nearly as good as people expected him to be the next year in the LCK, but has continued to work on his game, was actually very successful in the AD carry meta this year, and I think today is a better player than he's ever been, despite actually having that world title in 2022. So I can't wait to see what the future holds for Zeka.
Yeah, I think the way that they sort of approached winning Worlds and what that meant for that DRX roster, I think they knew it was a miracle. As that's another charge.
Here's a play.
Doran looking to try and get out, does have the hop, gets over. There's a fadeaway. Decent ulti there from Peanut, just for the disengage, but a teleport going to be invested. Knight lands the charm and says, all right, we'll take a TP. You guys can get out of here.
They do lose the wave on bot lane, though, because that's where Zeka was starting to shift over to. So I think that's why we saw BLG back away. Obviously, Hamad escaped quite a bit, but they're still losing small bits on the map. But you can still see both these squads immediately want to find any little advantage that they can. The double TP invested and try and make something happen.
And I actually really want to credit BLG in this moment because it was such a disaster at the second grub fight. The game is actually in a very stable state at the moment. Only down 900 gold, tied in Drakes. They've hit the item power spikes. They find little looks for these plays, and it's still going to be absolutely anyone's game.
They also managed to get the Void Mites, right? So they do have those 4 grubs. So even though it was a catastrophic failure there as far as the team fight, they still managed to get the objective that they were looking for. So now that we're back onto even footing, and especially with the fact that the tempo feels like it has now moved back towards BLG after a couple of little plays, Life Esports going to have to find another one of those moments if they want to get themselves to a solid advantage, despite the fact that the gold is still in around the 1,000 advantage mark.
You can see how BLG are trying to play this, though, constantly shifting on down towards this bottom side and faking that pressure around mid lane because he's hiding out of vision. And it's Doran this time around who respects that. He backs away. It was Zeka literally a minute and a half ago. And BLG haven't found this footing to continue, so team fights still on what can come alive, especially if Zeka's able to complete this second item. Not for things like Dragon in a minute's time, but certainly at Baron in 2.5.
Elk is going to find Delight here. I was wondering whether Delight knew that that ward was there, because he was playing like he definitely did. Not going to be able to clear that one out. Still, the horse position known now, so BLG will be able to make some plays around it. And now we're back to some normalcy. It's not this weird Australian lanes that we were presented with earlier in the game. It's now 80 carries in the mid lane, and we are just setting up our side lanes to see who can make things happen once again in that top side.
Doran doesn't want to fall for this twice. 40 seconds until the next Drake spawn. Feels safe in the top lane. Shun was going for the look. That Scryer's Bloom caught him a second ago, so they definitely know that it's there, and they're going to be able to now get a little bit of early vision on the Drake, unless Doran walks in a bit too far, but he should be completely fine.
Yeah, knows exactly what's going on. Now just hide under the safety of his turret, but with On and Shun in the area, Shun making his way over. Yeah, with Knight, they should be able to crash this wave. And I don't think that anyone on HLE is going to be able to get over here. True Shot Barrage is, a decent attempt, but it's not going to save it.
And this is where the power from Miss Fortune really came alive. It's not the fact that you see 3 members on top side, it's that she gets control over mid wave and allows teams to get 3 members on side lanes. And Shun On able to rotate there because you've got so much control for Elk. And it's just setting up now for BLG once more to push mid. They rotate down. Peanut alone on the Dragon, though.
And that's amazing here for me for BLG. They almost cheat it. Normally when you make a play topside, you're trading it for Drake, but Peanut doesn't do any damage. So he can't actually take the Drake on his own, and now BLG has ran all the way back across, and they're going to look to contest this as well.
Yeah, Bin on a great flank angle here as Peanut finds himself alone. There's the flash out, but the follow comes through. Chain's going to connect there from Zeka, but Peanut, I think he's not long for the world, and there he goes. Doran, that Narbar is looking absolutely gorgeous, but the boomerang is not going to find the mark. Looking for the straggler there as On is just going to back away. Throws out the drill. Knight is at a 3rd health for some reason. I think something happened off screen as now HLE, yes, they lose their jungler, but they do get control of the river.
Knight does have the TP to come back into this, but I think with On resetting and the flash on Elk burned, they're just going to try and back away, but Hamar are doing the same. Not really certain that they can just go for it when they don't have a jungler.
Yeah, that Dragon is still undecided who it's going to fall to. Peanut's going to be able to respawn, run back here. I feel like that was so masterfully done so far by BLG to be able to kill Peanut on the backside and then escape. And they're seemingly not interested in the Drake, but they've been trading up over and over again. This team was down 2,000 gold 7 minutes ago, but their macro has been so immaculate that they've made it into a slight gold lead.
And I think this is why picks like the Ahri, like the LeBlanc that we saw for Knight are so vital to this squad. it gives them that opportunity to try and play through side lanes, allows On to start rotating around the map, and especially for a player like Knight, there is so much pressure on him coming through from the LPL. This is the Chinese mid laner, the mid laner that started in the LPL, grew up in the LPL, is now getting to be the face of the LPL that could actually win a world title. Whereas when you look back, it's always been those LCK players that have come across the LPL that have won titles for them. So he is kind of the face that has been gifted across from Xiaohu to Knight to show up for the LPL, and having that desperate Swiss stage really does put a lot of pressure on him to step up once more.
Yep, you're exactly right. Although I feel like Doinby is more of an LPL guy out of those mid laners that have won. We'll take Rookie, although you probably won't give him back. Okay, BLG now pushing down towards this bottom side as Zeka will catch that wave for now. And he's been a little bit more quiet. 2-item spike has now been hit. Got the dash cannon as well as that cool helmet that gives you just so much ability power. See what the third item is going to be for Zeka, because right now it feels very offensive with his item choices. HLE now just grouping around this Baron, and I wonder how they're feeling about their composition, because looking at these two teams right now in a vacuum, these 2-item spikes that are coming in makes BLG absolutely terrifying, and I feel like HLE, as they get to like 3, that's when they're feeling like they might be able to weather some of the storm.
I feel like you're absolutely correct in that take. BLG is extremely strong right now with their ability. Anybody that they pick, they're probably going to be able to one-shot, but I do feel that the Sylas Ezreal and even Alistair Nar are a little bit inevitable if this game goes long enough, so still so much league to be played. HLE has to be a little cautious with how well BLG has been able to set up these side lane traps, and I think they're doing a pretty good job so far. This is a great game.
It does feel like Hanwha are trying to set up a trap for themselves, though, as you're starting to shift that vision down into this bottom side, seeing if they can pull BLG in and just catch someone on a side lane, even giving that space to Zeka as well. But I think Hanwha have been doing a good job, as you say, of just matching a lot of that pressure from BLG. We haven't seen the presence of on that bottom side of the map actually gain anything for BLG in a lot of this.
Yep, a lot of wards still surviving here in the Baron Pit as well, so BLG with a lot of information that is just sticking around. So don't need to be too worried about the Baron at the moment. Peanut taking a bit of damage here from Knight, I believe just found a charm and an Orbit Deception. Otherwise, it is just going to be a reset, and this could be on vision here from Delight as well, as BLG know that they can walk in, try and take control.
And this is where I want to see Hanwha be a little bit more tempered around these Baron takes. We saw in the FlyQuest series that oftentimes they'd start these Barons and just get caught out despite the 3,000 to 4,000 gold leads they gain for themselves in some of those gains. So I think giving the respect to BLG, just setting down wards, not actually starting up the Baron, respecting what this squad can do if you find yourself in a Baron pit, is good to see from Hanwha.
It's such an interesting game, though, because like when I look at the vision here, it's so respectful. Like there's not much red ward past this point, and there's very few blue wards past this point. So no one really has the deep vision with which to make a play for, because the few times we've actually seen teams go deep in enemy territory, that's when things have kind of gone wrong. So we may just be waiting for the next objective to pop up, and then we're going to see some real action.
I feel like we've got the perfect Baron Pit for it as well, because that sort of draws that line for you, has the exact line across, and you can see that's exactly where those wards are. As, yeah, we've reached a bit of a lull state, as we say in the LCK.
I think we're looking at Peanut, though. I'm keeping my eyes on this bottom side of the map. That vision that was set up already could lend itself to some sort of dive towards Bin, but the pressure from BLG on the mid wave, drawing Peanut and also Delight back in towards that mid. So you can see it's like both teams are trying to set up for these plays, but it's the fact that you can't really get your foothold yet is what's causing so many issues.
And we were talking about the 2-item spikes for BLG, and I think that that definitely eclipses HLE on the whole, but Viper has hit his 2-item spike. And that means that this control of the mid lane that we've been talking about this entire game long might just swing in favor of the Ezreal that's already just poking BLG out, as you can see here.
He's a machine, and also we have a stopwatch on Zeka's Sylas, so he's going to be more unleashed to make aggressive plays. I think that item alone actually makes him such a bigger threat onto Elk's Misfortune, because he'll be able to get back there, then buy time for his cooldowns to come back, and then likely finish the execute. So even just those item spikes coming through allow HLE to get a little bit of map pressure back.
And the fact as well that you've drawn so many members of BLG to mid lane means you get that push in the top side for Zeka, so he's going to be able to contest Knight on this wave. Set yourself up for a nice reset timer, then move over towards the Dragon that's about to spawn in 10 seconds. Zeka even has the teleport, And the fact he already has that Seeker's arm guard, like you pointed out, means he doesn't actually have to reset. So now Knight has to answer for that push in the top side.
Doran just lurking here with his Nabaa relatively built up. You can see Shun just missing the Vault Breaker, unfortunately, on the Rift Scuttler, but shouldn't be too much of a big deal. Peanut's going to come on over and pick that one up. So some vision that's irremovable around this Dragon. That's going to be sole point for HLE if they can get it. And they are starting it up immediately. Been there, though. Equalizer at the ready.
They have such good position right now on this Drake. BLG's going to have to hard force in. The Arya is on a flank, though.
Yep, the Nabaa is now in perfect position here for Doran, though. BLG, can they actually stall this one out? That's going to be the question as Knight. He throws out the ultimate. The chains are going to miss. He's just dodging Zeka. That's going to be Peanut. He just says, goodbye, Mr. Jungler. I'm the one with the smite now, and he will be able to secure it. And HLE, they can just back away.
Great vision from Hanwha. That wards that were already set up on this bottom side, spotting that the Shun was going over the wall. They get Knight out of position as well, and just able to take that one nice and easy without having to draw blood. I'm going to be very happy with that one.
I love the shot from Peanut too. Direct hit on the Vi. No actual chance for a Drake steal. I'd say there is even a little bit of fortune from BLG when Delight's headbutt knocked Knight away from Zeka's Silas chains, because they might have been able to get his flash or maybe even kill him. So BLG was definitely not set up on that play as early as they would have wanted to be, and HLE being one Drake away from sole point puts him in the favorable position in the match.
Yep, I'm very happy that we're seeing Peanut on this Poppy as well, because it's been one of his best champions for a really long time. I think him and Owner have been the best Poppy players from the LCK over the last 3 years or thereabouts. I think Owner has had some of the better recent games, but Poppy was always just that, Peanut was always just that guy that's been able to make this champion do some amazing stuff, but hasn't really been gravitating to it more recently. It's good to see it as there. Speaking of which, heroic charge, and there goes Knight! Blink and you'll miss it, and the Ahri is just dead. Now Shun's gonna face check it, Zeka that finds him, and he's just dashing around, making sure the enemy jungler cannot get into this Baron pit, and I think with just one pick, they'll be able to take this Baron after one ultimate takes them a Dragon.
This is why.
Get another team fight. The answer might be no unless BLG find an angle here. There is a two-man Magnet Storm. They're off the Baron now as the bullet time does barely anything. Equalizer.
This is why you can't give this man.
HLE, and I think that they should be able to disengage with just a little bit of stake left on the ground. Is on. Are you by yourself, buddy? He should be taken down. It's the ultimate from Peanut. Says, all right, we'll just take two of them. Set up the kills as Elk goes over the wall. Doran almost just dies as Zeka has to flash to get himself back into the Baron pit. And now I think that disengage that I was calling for, 20 minutes ago, is going
to brawl around this.
You can't give Zeka silence. It doesn't matter if Knight's a good Ahri player. Zeka's a better player.
They saw their window of opportunity to come back, but dodging and ducking and diving away, Hanwha bring it back.
And just Peanut. That's this entire sequence to me. It's just Peanut. He starts the Baron a little bit. Knight then wants to check because he's suspicious. Flash, stun, one shot. But then, as the entire fight continues to play out, Zeka's zoning the Vi out. There's a slow contest by BLG, and you'll have to watch for Peanut's ejection to save HLE at the end.
And again, it's Hanwha playing off of these small pockets of vision that they've managed to set up. They've been doing a great job of getting early to these objectives, sticking a ward over a wall, getting into a position at a Dragon, and it's been catching people out. And as this fight went on tries to go for the play, but again, you call it jab. Peanut's ultimates have been absolutely spectacular, and it is destroying BLG in this game.
Absolutely ridiculous stuff. Of course, just a bit of a reminder, we have some proof that Peanut's pretty good at this champion, as he's 28-9 on Poppy just over his entire career. Not quite his Maokai stats, but Maokai's less interesting. This Poppy's really cool. Let's see how the siege goes.
Yeah, now they need to use this Baron to actually blow the game open because they found these small picks, but BLG has been able to secure so many minions and just passive gold that there's actually not a big lead here. They even cleared that wave pretty easily. 1/3 of the mid turret being down at 30 minutes. And
good reaction there from Peanut, but he's not going to be able to react to the charm. They managed to lock him down to the bullet time, getting a fair bit of value. But the pulverize is huge. Delight knocks up 3, and the rest of HLE will knock the rest down. Ben is told to leave. Viper chasing him out at night, and his top laner are the only ones left alive unless Viper has something to say about it. He gets underneath his turret and gets out, but man, that was looking like it was going to be BLG, and Delight says no.
Delight's Alistair is different. That was such an insane engage to turn that.
Look at that replay.
Net, because they still lost the push in the mid lane. That was a 2-for-3 fight, and their Baron will be ticking down, but from the start of this, it looked like BLG had completely repelled it.
It's so hard to take down Peanut, though. The lock into the Iron Solari and that Kane of Rooker and just gives him so many shields that he can look to play around. And they do get the pick, but everything was invested there. Bin is not in position. They go for this ultimate, but Zeka has the Ariel to get out. And Delight, the flash.
I'm wet! I'm wet! That was beautiful.
Nothing left in the tank as Hanwha tear them to shreds.
And you can see there are certainly some dejected faces on the side of BLG after that one, but they are still within 1,000 gold. There is nothing in this at all, but it's now Ocean Soul on the table for HLE, and BLG do not want them to get it.
10,000 damage goes fast on that Drake. BLG has to rush this play.
Yep, Zeka on a flank angle now, clearing out vision RBLG. They are in the fog of war for the moment, but can they actually get here in time is Shun nowhere near the pit, and Peanut's going to be able to lock that one down. Now Zeka dives into the backline, Knight out of there with the Spirit Rush, but so is Zeka. They're able to take down the Horse Lady before the fight even really starts, and there is another 1-2. Shun's just taken down. The Rumble gets one, but it's Viper that's laying down the Mystic shots. He gets a double, but who cares? It's an ace for HLE.
BLG can't set up.
It's a jobber! Get to angle, let's go!
Again, like, I don't. Zeka hasn't been doing this all year.
Zeka Silas always arrives. You can't short sell Viper though.
Oh, yeah.
606, 330 CS at 32 minutes on this Ezreal. The Baron buff is down. I don't think they can end it here, but my God, did they break this game open.
Certainly did. They break the base open as well. Mid lane out of turret will finally go down, but the inhibitor on the bottom side of the map as well. This does feel like a real gut punch from HLE for the first time this game.
And the last time we saw BLG go up against Doran, Peanut and Delight, they beat game one, they took game two. It was Genji having to find success to come back into that game to push it to game five, but here, Hanwha do not let up.
And you can just see that BLG is scattered with their approach. Shunzvai is trying to steal along the backside. When he doesn't get it, Zeka just buys an insane amount of time. And he's just so incredibly mobile with that Ahri ultimate. He doesn't even have to use his arm guard at all the entire time. The Misfortune is hopelessly useless with how much mobility HLE has and the ability to disrupt the ultimate. It is impressive to watch.
Yeah, the way Zeka just goes in, draws three people's attention, and then sacrifices half of his health bar and goes out again, right? And they can make that re-engage happen over and over again with BLG out of position.
And this man first picked it.
Yeah.
He just blind picked the Silas. Is like,
Silas
give me
was
it.
the
I'm going to
first-
take over. This is good.
He was the first tech champion to be introduced into League of Legends, I think. Like, you see good ultimates, you pick Silas. You know, you need the door open for the... No, I guess not. That's not the way.
It's going to be a threat for the rest of the series if you're willing to just lock it like that and have it pay off. The other crazy thing is that HLE blue side banning the Skarner, but it's because Peanut wanted to play Poppy, right? He's like, if I see the right angle, I'm going to hit him with the jungle Poppy. So both of those draft gambits have been paying off big time for HLE here in game one.
And it's not only that, it's the fact that it's a flex pick as well. You can move that towards the bottom lane if you see an adjustment in the draft. So even now going into game two, you're not getting free information necessarily if that flex is going to come through. But now Baron back up on the table once again. And BLG looking to try and set up their 6,000 gold behind. And it's an Ocean Soul as well as Peanut. He comes out. There's another two-man bolt. There goes Knight. He just doesn't get to play the game here in game number one. The bullet time actually getting some value, but they just sidestep it. Bin not allowed in, not allowed to do anything at all. That equalizer is still up and available from the Death Chamber. Is Doran somehow almost surviving? It is going to be the Gnar falling, but it's HLE that'll march towards the Nexus and look to close game one.
The ace may not be clean, but the fight sure is from Hanwha. Beautiful flank, beautiful stuff, and a beautiful game one.
HLE absolutely showing up.
And there is the first Nexus to go down in the series. Kind of down to the draft, not going to lie, but it's Zeka's Silas, it's Peanut's Poppy, it's Engage for Delight. And with all that comfort, they roll over the top.
And HLE remembers what happened last year. They popped the Genji emote at the end as they're killing the BLG Nexus. Two more, and they get their revenge.
All right, but ladies and gentlemen, you can dominate the Rift with Opera GX. Get official league mods for your browser, access a dedicated Riot Corner for match schedules, tournament news, and enjoy a brand new co-streaming hub for live broadcast. But now it is time for us to go to a break. Woo. We're going to recover. We're going to look forward to game number 2.
Make them believe, baby.
And if you're wondering why I move the way I do, I just feel so good, good, good. I just feel so good, good. I just feel so good.
数不清有多少个这样的时刻，闪现向前，焦灼，欢呼，沮丧，再来。没什么比这一刻更好。
You got a pretty disguise, but you're still ugly inside. I see right through all your lies. I'm not like one of a kind. I'm a misfit, I'm a rebel, don't fit your description. I never settle, fight back with resistance, pedal to the metal. We're setting fire to the system, yeah. With my hands tied. Start up the riot. Start a riot. Start a riot. La la la, feel it ignited. Light it up, light it up. Light it up, it's going down. We gonna
They might keep going here.
Tanking.
All right, Zeka's just going to dive underneath. Doesn't find the chain. There's the headbutt for the kill. They have to throw the kitchen sink at him. Knight's going to trade one back. Oh, God. On to on. He's going to get knocked up. Zeka finds the chain, and he's got the Spirit Rush as well, so there should be no way out here for Han. Zeka picks up the first one after our shenanigans in the level 1. The bullet time, getting a fair bit of value, but the pulverize is huge. Delight knocks off 3, and the rest of HLE will knock the rest down. Bin is told to leave. Viper chasing him out at night.
What a masterclass from HLE
Alright,
in this first
from
game.
BLG, we need a real draft.
Both teams really showed
MF,
up,
garbage. Ari, garbage. Look, we got it. It's not
Both teams
but you can't pick Ari in the silence. Not Zeka silence.
It's great.
So not
Why'd you get the man 4 extra flashes?
Very cleanly. It's particularly, and even though this is just game 1, for Peanut a really big moment because that man again had some of his roughest games.
Oh, also ban the fucking puppy away. Like, what the fuck are you doing?
It looked like the LPL #1 seed versus the LCK #1 seed, right? And I mean that in the best possible way. These guys
I just read LCK 3-0 LPL.
We went over the game 1
Just
stuff earlier.
We did. Do you want to take a look at some of Peanut's moves? I know, Azale, I think you got a clip from the Illustrator.
Yeah, absolutely. We can take a look at this. I just thought that Peanut played this grub fight really, really well, and it decided a lot of the early game. I just want you to really keep your eyes, obviously, on Viper. They are going to be looking for an engage onto him. We can roll the clip out, but I really wanted to highlight how well the team backs off and actually peels for him. So definitely keep your eyes on Viper as well as Peanut. As Shun is going to move forward, he's going to look for Viper, but the buffer on the E here is going to be critical from Viper. And then notice how we're going to see Peanut move up, and instead of actually trying to run back and peel the Vi himself, he's going to find the bigger target in Knight. And immediately as Knight goes forward, you can actually see him jump right onto Knight, knocks him away, and then he's going to put up the W, which means that if he dashes, he's going to get stunned again. So the follow-up is not there. Viper doesn't even have the summoners forced, and you can see on the other side, Zeka piles in, Delight piles in. They cut off all the follow-up, which is where the main threat is coming for, and I just think it's beautiful team fighting from Peanut.
On the flip side, On tried to engage, and Delight actually got the intended Ellers interaction right, interrupted the crash down, which didn't give another out on the opposite end team fight for BLG.
Yeah, and I think the big thing for us in terms of setting up this Peanut revenge arc, right, is we're like, okay, how well is he going to perform when the pressure is on? He talked about it in his own interview. And if this game 1 is any indication, we're getting domestic Peanut here on the international stage. This was the first time we saw him absolutely beast a team fight, but it certainly wasn't the last.
Yeah, in terms of milestones, now 10th in terms of assists at Worlds passing.
He passed Gorilla.
Yeah.
His old teammate, one of his fellow Rocks Tigers. And Azil and I were actually talking about this with the way that the drafts, I think, shaped up. Whichever team got a mid-game lead and got first team objectives was always gonna have a good time, and it was Humble Life every single time.
Yeah, and the way they flexed the Poppy in this draft for Peanut, this is a Peanut classic in terms of how he's going to play. And we'll talk about the rest of the draft a little bit, but like, look at that Poppy ult. Like, he was constantly removing key targets from team fights.
A question for you about the draft. If you cannot blow the enemy Ezreal's summoners almost the whole game, is that a compositional error or a gameplay error or both?
I think it was a little bit of both. I think that Viper played really well, and I also think they probably should have banned out the Ezreal or taken it away, right? The MF, I think, is way less dynamic. You know, when Viper is positioning like that, it's so difficult to get back to him, and they knew that, sure, the Vibe might be able to get them, but we're never going to allow the follow-up, so he's never going to have that threat. I think the bigger deal, though, was BLG was always late to the objectives. They're never the ones first there. They don't have vision. They're trying to force their way in. And all HLE needed to do was get a rejection from Poppy or put a little pressure on the corridor they're trying to walk through and secure the objective. It happened time after time after time until it was too late for BLG to do anything.
Yeah, and it got to the point where they did try to engage a fight, but as we see in our Hyper X Reflex replay, you have so many champions on the side of HLE that can respond, right? Because we see in this clip, watch Delight, because here BLG go in, they think, okay, we've got Peanut, right? On goes in, sets up for the MFO, but here we go. Delight immediately gets into the backline with this Alistar.
And then the follow-up from Viper is immediate, and that gives Delight now 2 of the, in my opinion, best individual engage plays. The previous one against Hanwha, or against Gen G rather. The Rel one also mind-bogglingly good.
And I want to return to this draft a bit because some things that came across, we had the Silas first pick called out from Zeka. He's like, this is my champ. I'm first picking it on blue side. We had the Knight Ahri in response, like the Ahri Vi, great combination, has worked super well for BLG. Bin Rumble, not something he particularly likes to play despite having a win rate a really good win rate on it. He just played it last year at Internationals for the first time. But the big thing then is that they had the chance to pick the Ezreal, like you said, Azale, but they decided to take away the Rel. Delight still had an insane performance on the Alistar.
We can see BLG returning to the stage. They have selected blue side for game number 2. It's going to be exciting. I mean, 2 of these mid laners on their most iconic champions here in mid lane, battling it out. You know, Zeka throwing down the gauntlet. We got to see the response from the Knight Ahri. Like, look at these records. It's insane. Especially Knight on Ahri, 51-11.
I feel like we were kind of, I don't know. I expected more when I saw that they locked in their respective best champions or some off, right? But Zeka really took over. I mean, of course, it was the game state as well, but in the setup for Knight, you know, we want to see more. He's going to have to be able to put his footprints, his stamp on this best of 5.
And for me, back in 2022 was all about the solo kills, but with the lane swaps, that's no longer an option, right? So much volatility is taken out, and I think that's the bloodiness that you were looking for, and I was hoping for it as well.
Yeah, let's see how it progresses here. It's awesome here in the Adidas Arena. It almost feels like they're cheering for your endless points. It's not, though. It's actually for the players. I won't take it back, but perhaps they are cheering for our casters. What do you think? Is this going to be 2-0 for HLE?
Oh, it's got to be 5 games.
I need 5 games.
It's got to be 5 games.
So bad.
Blue side's completely overpowered, so we've just got blue side, blue side, blue side, blue side, 5 games guaranteed, right? That's got to be it.
Yeah. I mean, the logic checks out.
I would like the red side team to win twice.
Okay.
Just, you know, if we're being picky.
you just want to have sides also.
Yeah, I don't want the sides to decide everything. I also want to see Yone and Aurora opened by HLE just to mix things up.
I like it.
Because, I mean, yesterday, actually, the team that was willing to open on red side, Aurora and Yone, was the team that actually won a game on red side with Weibo, because I feel like you're at such a draft disadvantage if you're actually locking 2 of your bans. So we'll see what ends up happening. The Poppy ban,
they learned!
Needed, but it will look like we're going to see Aurora Yone, at least for this first red side game by HLE ban.
They almost have to come in together, right?
And I do agree. I think if you see one, it can't be without the other. The Silas has a banned away, but I think this does then put pressure onto Hanwha where they can't just immediately go for something like the Kalista ban afterwards. Maybe that's their 3rd slot, but if you see an Ashe ban here on Billy, they are 100% setting up for that Kalista first pick.
Yeah, absolutely. And just a reminder, even though they did switch sides, if we do see the target bans here by BLG of Poppy and Silas, champions that were banned last game that won't be banned this game, HLE had Kalista, Renekton, and Skarner as their bans, and then Aurora, Yone, Jax. So Jax, Kalista, Renekton, Skarner. Renekton is banned, but that's 3 champions that we might see for the first time this series.
And the Renekton is actually the 2nd ban here coming out of HLE. They could, of course, just be staggering the Yone, keeping us on our toes, but they might leave it up. Who knows?
But that's the thing, right? So basically they're saying, hey, do you want to go for that Ashe ban? Because we could leave open Yone and suddenly we get the stronger bot lane here that we can try and play through. You have an 83% win rate on the Kalista for Viper across the course of summer, so I'm super excited now to see how this one goes. He's going to be the Jax ban instead, so basically kind of not fully taking the bait, but again, another Jax ban where Bin doesn't want to go towards it.
Yeah, another BLG Jax ban. I thought with them banning at red side, they were afraid of a takeaway from Doran, but that's a lot of respect for Doran, and I think they also don't want to be pinched in a situation where Yone gets left up and they give Jax over, but this is the gauntlet thrown down. And it also makes me think, like, what is the actual answer here? Skarner's open, so they're getting Skarner, and Zeka must just have something that he is comfortable with into this. Maybe a Kali?
Yeah, maybe, but I also think it's the opportunity to take something like the Ashe away and basically say, hey, look, we are guaranteeing ourselves both the strong jungler and a strong bot lane. We can play for picks.
Yeah.
The Ashe enables a Skarner incredibly well.
Ashe.
And I think it's just a great setup here for Hanwha, but it's a case of how much can this Yone get done?
Well, it's going to be the lock-in here, of course, has been kind of the pride of the jungle at this point in time. That's just going to be a Gnar locked away. This means that the Yone pivot to top lane actually kind of feeling a little bit sexy as well.
It's possible, but I also think Gnar has just become a power pick here at the World Championship.
Yeah, Gnar is a pretty good pick. Yo, that Mega Gnar, bro. That Mega Gnar is game changing. I think they have to take 80 carry here on the side of BLG because they're on that much sliding getting through. And then they get first pick priority to Viper. Things gonna fumble and tumble and dumble and give them a mumble again. Okay, so it's Yon mid, Rumble top.
We've seen it other times in the tournament, and it is being hovered for the moment. They're just making sure they get as much thinking time in as possible, but it does feel like an incredibly powerful top side of the map. Zeka's Akali, I heard he's pretty good at that one. There seems to be a skill that he has. I'm not entirely sure, but the Akali is getting a few reactions out of the crowd.
Come on, Zeka knows!
He was one of the earliest adopters of the Ahri since she had her mini rework a few years ago. Hovering it for the moment. The crowd not excited about it. Not even a little bit, as it is going to be locked in.
I'm underwhelmed.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
It's not a lot of damage.
If you're going to give BLG that, I think you need something more than this on the other side. Just having Skarner and Gnar is nice, but comparing 3-3, BLG's champions are S tier.
Especially if you start to ban away a lot of these the AD carries as well that can just play awkwardly in the bottom side. In the fact they're banning Ashe is setting up for, again, maybe you get a Kalista ban on the opposite side for BLG here, but then you're starting to, maybe you go for an Ezreal ban, maybe you try and force something like the Xayah and Rakan here for Viper and Delight on this bottom side, but overall it just feels like a little bit awkward for Hanwha with how much firepower they've given to BLG.
I think there are options on the bottom side of the map to try and alleviate it, right? Some of the classic mega hyper carries that just do massive amounts of DPS in the late game, thinking like Jinx on 4 items and things like that.
That's so hard into like a Yone Rumble, right? Like it's really, really difficult to try and play with that much backline threat. And I think that's where you're going to struggle. I think as Viper, you do have to go either the Ezreal or the Xayah though, and I think you probably need to take it on this first rotation here, because I imagine one of those will be banned here by BLG.
Kai'Sa's insane too. I mean, Kai'Sa in BLG's team composition is so good. I thought we might see a bit of a snowball of bans here with Ashe baiting the Kalista ban, and then maybe like Kai'Sa and Ezreal being banned as well. But with Ezreal banned, that leaves Kai'Sa Xayah with both of them having decent things to pair off of, because Xayah can absorb the dive, Kai'Sa can be the dive.
But the thing is, I think you really would like to go Xayah Rakan for Viper and Delight, but On is a fantastic Rakan in his own right, so being able to remove that is going to be a bit of a hindrance to the Xayah, so they are just going to go back towards the Kai'Sa, and it'll be the Xayah and Rakan on the opposite side for Billy.
That's the trade.
Yep, and brings us back, doesn't it, to all those years past where it was Xayah versus Kai'Sa every single game. Hasn't quite been the same story though. The bottom side of the map has been a little bit more up in the air, and it is going to be a purple combo here as the cow once again for Delight. This guy's pulverizers have been absolutely fantastic, but I'm looking at BLG, and one thing I think that you could say is that range could be a little bit of a problem, but HLE don't have any either, so it's just kind of the best of every world here for this BLG draft that's looking absolutely terrifying.
Viper needs to play out of his mind in this game though. With the Rakan jumping on him, the Sejuani, the Rumble ult, the Yone ult, there is so much that is swinging for this Kai'Sa, because if he drops, there is very little damage left in this Hanwha Live composition. So Peanut needs to beeline to bot lane and make sure that this snake is biting everyone come mid-game.
I will say though, if Zeka wins this game, the amount of confidence that he has exuded in draft so far, first picking Sylas, going up against Knight's Ahri, and then saying, yeah, Yone, you can have it. I'm going to play that Ahri thing that you lost with in the last game. If he pulls that off, I don't know how BLG will recover.
And up against probably the most coveted pick in the tournament thus far in the Yone that Knight does have this time around. Let's see what does happen, though, moving into game number 2. I think most of us feel like it should be a BLG win, not just because of the draft, but because we want as many games as possible. That's going to even things out, bring us to that best of 3, guarantee at least 4 games here in this quarterfinal. BLG, I think, poised to get there with the draft that they have, but I don't think draft was all that relevant in game number 1. It was just about the gameplay, the control. that both teams were able to exert.
And it was the lack of control in team fights from Billy that really stood out. So often when you got that first Void Grub fight, complete whiff on a combo. Then you get into the later portion of the game, Peanut doing a phenomenal job of disrupting that combo with those Poppy ultimates. This is another composition that relies on teamwork, that relies on your team being together, and we're going to have to see if BLG can pull it off.
Well, let's jump onto the Rift and have a look at it. As Delight, you okay?
Yeah.
Okay there, buddy?
Oh, I was checking on our spectator. They were able to get a lot of damage down on him, but there were no summoner spells that ultimately had to be burned, so it's going to be a non-eventful move there. But now, because Alistair had to recall, it's allowing them time to move in for some deep vision.
Yeah, and HLE do have one less on the map, so a little bit of extra control. But remember, ladies and gentlemen, log in to your Riot Games account on lolesports.com and watch Worlds live to earn exclusive Worlds emotes, icons, and capsules. As thankfully, no one is going to die in that little skirmish in the mid lane. So HLE now just going to back away, clearing out some vision, having a look towards any lane swap shenanigans, and it looks like we have an affirmative on that one.
Yeah, absolutely. Yet another lane swap. The Alistair team, I think, pretty happy about this. HLE just planting him in mid lane very early on, hoping he gets level 2. If he gets level 2, they can then plant him and Gnar bot lane to prevent a wave stack dive.
The thing is, though, we haven't actually had a push from Hanwha in that top side right now. You can see Doran moving up there as Viper has gone into this into this jungle to try and push Shun off. Shun did manage to steal the blue buff, now on towards Wolves as well, so BLG going to be faster when it comes to the execution.
Yeah, Peanut going to move on over, smites away the big wolf. Doesn't get both of the little ones, but Shun only being able to walk away with one Merkwolf.
Peanut always trying some different form of pathing. He was so dominant in the LCK all year, being incredibly creative, and here goes Raptors to Wolves, steals away the Wolf, now takes Gromp, and then can clear up to the top side. And also, you can see Delight blocking a little bit of the path in his own jungle, so I really want to see how this continues to play out.
The thing is, though, because of the slow push and trying to push Shun out of the jungle, they're not actually in a position to look for the dive on towards this top side, so Bin getting to get a lot of this experience for himself. And you can see Delight has already shifted down towards this bottom side to potentially look for something, but Doran is still on top side.
Yeah, Peanut, Viper, and Doran, let's see whether they can make this one work. Has been already flashing away.
Whoa.
Peanut just travels all the way out of there, hurls a rock backwards, and they get a flash, and they're happy with that.
Great job there by Bin, though. Gets all the experience, soaking up the CS. Meanwhile, plates and minions just getting obliterated on the other side. Teleport coming in, though, as Sejuani's on the way. Maybe a dive.
Yep. You can see Delight was already waiting there, trying to make sure that he could protect these minions as Doran comes down to pick that one up. But 2 plates already going over to BLG, spelling a bit of a gold advantage already building up for them. Still, Doran will be able to get all the experience. That is, of course, the main thing. Missing out on a few minions at the beginning, but otherwise, nothing to be too worried about. And now Zekra and Knight still battling. Charm going to be connecting here on to the Yone. So, I mean, it's so much back and forth between these two.
It looks like we will be getting this extended laning phase, though, with Kai'Sa staying on that top side. She wants to try and push in that lane, and Doran is moving, well, staying in this bottom side, and Delight is coming to join him, but on, putting him off.
Yep, Doran does have the hop available, so isn't going to be too worried. Does manage to get towards that level 4. And so far, no harm, no foul. Just a bit of an advantage given by almost purely plate gold. Like, that is the only gold that's providing the lead here for BLG. Everything else very, very even.
Overall, though, it means Delight's going to be able to avoid some of the early laning phase and get out of it. So you call this just a successful standard swap where you're sacrificing the plate gold for the experience.
Just say they did a lane swap, and now we're going to have the game.
Yep. But, I mean, now we actually see Kai'Sa moving back down as Delight catches this wave. So the plate power will end at 2.
Yep, trying to buy some time for the cannon there as well. Very cute little headbutt just to try and see whether Viper can actually get down there and pick that one up. Knight does miss that cannon there. Jonas Strong would give a little zoom in from our observer team, but not going to get it this time around. Definitely some more important things to focus on here. Zeka with that teleport just now on cooldown. Knight the same thing. A lot of this damage can feel a lot more impactful in this mid lane, and I think so many are wondering whether Zeka is just in that Worlds form, right, that we learnt about in 2022 and how dangerous it is, as now we're a bit distracted by Bin being caught out. The push away here from Peanut, and yes, the flash they picked up earlier, but is Doran going to survive? That's the question. The Hyperproc comes down, and Bin just walks it off. It's Peanut that has to flash now, and BLG just stand their ground.
And that was one of the small advantages BLG did pick up in the lane swap, was Bin with the level advantage. 5 to 4. He's able to fight back against Hanwha and buy time for Shun to save him in that top lane play.
Kick a bin.
Absolutely. And I thought that he was dead to rights. But there's a two-man pulverize here towards the bottom side of the map. Viper and On now doing battle. The Ignite to go down, sending a message there. As the, the sidestep from Bin is gorgeous. Shun's going to turn up. Doran knows that he's just dead. He misses the boomerang, doesn't get the auto. And oh dear, we've seen this Doran before, and it's not the positive one.
That was cooked. He wanted to try and make a big play. The wave was going to organically push back into him anyway. He could have collected the CS. He could have kept the game even, but he just went for it. Ends up giving over kill and assist gold, losing this wave as well. The can is going to fall, and then a couple more minions likely. Big mistake there by Doran.
And Pino will get spotted out on this dragon as well, so... Oh, actually, I think they might go for the replay dive.
Oh dear, Equalizer goes down. Doran gets flashed on as well. There's the permafrost, and he's just dead again. This whole wave also destroyed, and Doran is just not in this game anymore.
That ward spotting out Peanut was crucial there. The control ward sees him, and immediately BLG were like, we could go for the Void Grubs, or we could just take Doran out of this game entirely. A 1.1k gold lead for the Rumble.
That is actually game-ending if BLG can play this out. When that happens to your top laner, Peanut's trying to make a play though.
Make his way down. Elk already having to flash here. Does have the blade caller. There's the heal as well. They've used everything. Knight is now rotating over. And they know they have to get out. Don't want to give him space for that ultimate, as now Zeka does get position, but the Void Grub's going over to BLG. They have a stranglehold now on this game.
And that play is also huge for BLG. That was a 3 versus 4, so all they wanted to do was delay the objective. They suffer no deaths. They pick up the grubs during it.
Cute. I don't believe they spotted Delight Hex flashing into the brush, or maybe they did. Not entirely sure.
It is crazy because bot lane is our Mercedes-Benz feature matchup, but we have not got a chance to talk about this at all the entire time because all that action has been top. But Delight and Viper have been doing a great job of punishing the Zyra Khan, going for these engages. And look, the CS will be picked up to even out here, but it's definitely BLG on the back foot in this matchup.
Well, not right now in this game. As far as back foots are concerned, I think we're going to plant Humble Life Esports there. Elkanon just holding this wave here. You can see it's not a great lane state for HLE right now.
Keep your eyes on what Zeka's doing though. Constantly just moving up towards this top side, threatening a potential dive with Peanut, or at least a play up on that top side with Peanut there. But at the moment, Bin is respecting it. But it does mean that, again, you can start to shift over towards things like Dragon or BLG if you want to, and start gaining these objective resources in your favor.
But look at all those wards that they have in the top side to protect Bin. Like, they know that the only way you slingshot this game back is if you kill him, and it's so high risk to actually move top lane. Peanut has a little bit of a look, clears one ward in the bush, doesn't even walk all the way into the river to clear the control ward. It looks stable for now for Doran, so if I was HLE, I definitely want to just play away from the Rumble and try and like ignore it for a little bit until you can actually have more equal power on the Rumble and the Narg.
Yep, and we haven't really seen sort of an honest 5v5 just yet. May not be seeing it anytime soon, as well as Shun in position now. Try and throw out that Glacial Prison on, wanting to also lend a bit of a hand here. Littering the area with wards, as we can see. Some abilities going left and right. Mid lane is just going to be settling for now. Not exactly finding too much there, as we can see.
Yeah, I mean, a small bit there. On it actually hit a support item upgrade before Delight, so he
Viper in a lot of trouble now. There's the grand entrance. Glacial Prison comes down. Decent cleanse there, but still has to use the summoner spell. This is half his health bar, but otherwise everything is okay. Delight moving on over. That could be big, especially with you know, grubs and everything else coming up very, very soon. There is the dragon already up and available here. BLG move over to take it.
On does need to try and soak a little bit of experience to take over to level 6, and I wasn't sure if that's the timing window that BLG were maybe going to look for that play on towards Viper, but I think it will be a case of hit 6, then use all these ultimates when they come back up to target Viper. And again, lack of damage on Hanwha Life when this Kai'Sa is taken off the board.
And BLG was so good at playing with tempo last game. They are seemingly even better now, and the big thing, they're gaining so much tempo when they have moments like we saw before when they actually pushed HLE off Drake while undermanned while they were taking grubs. And since they have such a point of pressure here top lane with Rumble, they're also able to play as if they have him this entire time, because if there ever is a double TP in, they're going to immediately be at that advantage because Rumble is so much stronger. So they're just leveraging this power that they have across the entire map to grow their lead.
You can see Doran, not a whole lot of money. As we can see here, Ben just extracting all of it from his pockets. And he is very, very powerful right now. Charm going to connect that on tonight. Not exactly consequential at this point in time.
It is a very early reset from the Home Life bot lane, though. I think they're trying to set up for some sort of potential play in the enemy jungle here off of Doran, but Doran now hitting his Mega Gnar will kind of put a little bit of a dampener on that, but still, Peanut moving up. I think you look for On or someone, maybe even this mid lane, as they try and set up for the Void Grubs in 20 seconds.
Yeah, we can see Zekka actually able to lay down a fair bit of harassment here on towards Knight. Might give them a little bit of an inroad into making something happen on these Grubs in 14 seconds time. As we can see, some vision up and available now. Peanut trying to clear out as much as he can as Viper and Delight get into position.
I think it's so hard to contest this. They did just get Malignance onto the Ahri though, so that might be the item that gives them confidence. But with Locket on the Sejuani, BLG is so strong right now.
Yep, teleport immediately coming back. The Rumble on the bottom side of the map is giving HLE some sort of confidence here. As On's going to get tagged. There's a headbutt pulverize. As Peanut not quite able to grab him, does head over towards Shun now. Pretty tanky, and now the charm comes in. There's the knock-up. They look to blow them up at Knight into the impale, but it does not matter. The damage had already happened. Peanut now in the back of this pit, just wanting to get out if he can. He's not going to be able to. Delight just hightails it out of there, and that should be 6 Grubs and a teamfight win for BLG.
And this is just a completely different BLG. They're the ones that are set up first on the objective, and I gotta say, what is HLA thinking? This was such an easy setup by BLG. Rumble was ready to teleport. He was always going to be stronger. They wash HLE out of this fight.
And they thought that maybe they had a chance trying to fight that, but BLG, they had already burnt that cleanse. Immediately turn on towards Viper, and they thought that they might have had this push coming up river with the Ahri that they could look for a play, but you can see where Yone is. He already cuts off the Ahri coming through, so now they turn on towards Shun, who's completely fine, but On sees his moment as they step forward back into it.
Yeah, another battle here as Doran getting burnt down. Elk not going to be diving a turret anytime soon. Not wanting to put that Feather Storm on cooldown, so they are just going to back away, but Doran is absolutely a punching bag this game, as we call it in the LCK, the orange buff of the top lane.
Oh, they want more though. There's still plates up. They want to collect. They have 6 Grubs, so just a few hits can mean so much. And playing from ahead is BLG's specialty. When they're able to get early game advantages, what happened domestically through a lot of laning phases, they can accelerate the game so fast because they're still willing to play high-risk League of Legends, so they'll be in places where you don't expect them to be. But with the Yone, Sejuani, Rumble, their ability to create and force fights from ahead is massive.
Also the fact you just started to see all those first items completed. Essence Reaver, Blade of the Rune King.
Oh, yeah.
Here in fighting form here is Billy, and they want to put the hurt onto Hanwha. HLE trying to use that moment where they reset though to get pressure on towards topside. But Bin just easily clears out this wave. Didn't have to even invest the ultimate that's about to pop up in a second. And with 40 seconds until that Rift Herald's up, it's actually Elk who's on the bottom side clearing out these waves, so it may be a Rift Herald trade for that bottom tier 2 that BLG are actually looking for.
Might be able to get there. I do really like how BLG have just been sitting back, right? They've been taking the advantages that Hum Life Esports are giving them and then not pressuring overly much. Some of the games that we've seen from BLG previously this year have certainly been a lot more fast and loose. This does feel like the BLG that absolutely dominated the playoffs here in summer. And this is so far away from what we saw the rest of this tournament.
And the disappointing thing is this big draft gambit, this story of giving Yone for this Ahri counter, that's not the reason that any of this happened. The reason that this has happened is because Bin has just taken advantage of Doran along with Shun, and that has snowballed throughout the map, and HLE has made several really risky kind of panic plays to try and correct that differential, but it's just made things worse.
Well, now you can see Viper moving on over. There's a headbutt pulverize only onto Shun, though, hit by the charm, but now On, he gets his way in there. Knight looking to just return the favor onto Zekka. He's not allowed to play the game this time around. Ahri's just not allowed to have fun. And BLG, they'll just grab 2 right as the dragon is spawning.
Okay, that one looked like the Yone. I feel like Yone was the difference in that fight because that was a good ridiculous. Ahri is just dead this whole series. Whether you're dead against Poppy or whether you're dead against the Yone, not even allowed to play the game.
And it's the fact that BLG are able to play so aggressive with this composition as well. The reason Yone is so broken is he can play like an assassin, dive in onto the backline, but has a ton of safety being able to go back to his soul. Same when you look at Elk, he always has the flash, has that ultimate available. He can follow up and fights incredibly well. So when Delight has to engage onto the front line of BLG, it's very easy for BLG to turn it around. Now it's pressure on the bottom side. That tower will fall to these minions, and the rotation now back up towards that top side as well. You can see in the MasterCard lane economy snapshot just how much gold BLG is growing here.
Yeah, this is an absolute shellacking in the making here. 4,000 gold is the lead here for BLG, but they're also just taking everything on the map. You can see 0 grubs, 0 dragons, 0 anything that HLE have been able to get for themselves. And Shun is going to be able to grab a Rift Herald as well. So complete monopoly achieved on all of the neutral objectives. And now Peanut looking for some sort of angle here towards the bottom side of the map. But I think even on should be enough support here to keep Knight safe.
I think so as well. They get good vision. Four people though.
Unless everyone comes down.
But at the same time, they're pressuring other parts of the map right away. Zaya was able to shove in mid lane. They're threatening Doran off the top turret once again, so that's then pulling resources up from HLE. The most impressive thing for me by BLG this game is the way that their aggression is measured.
Yeah.
They're still deathless, but they've controlled every objective, and as I say that, they pull off another big play.
Yeah, that is going to be just a blade caller to keep Peanut in his tracks, and they're not able to do anything. Of course, getting the Featherstorm, a big deal if there is going to be a potential fight that HLE are in any position to win, but I don't know whether there's going to be any of those.
But I think this tempered play is coming a lot through Shun. Question marks why he was brought back into the team, but against G2 he's showing up and now again.
Oh, the equalizer does go down, but Zekka is here to try and defend Doran. Still, it's just going to be a kill in the 2v1, and Ben's looking to scrap shield as well. It's Zekka that has to flash to pick it up, and now he may not even be safe. Knight and Shun making their way up to try and get revenge for their top laner, but it's already a 1-for-1. The ulti's going to connect now. It's in melee range. I don't think this Ahri's going to have a very good time at all. Spirit Rush comes out, but caught by the knock-up. Just ban Yone.
You cannot go up against Ben. What, in the mid?
All right, Elk might be going down this time. No Featherstorm this time around, as there's the flash out of the Blade Core. They needed everything to kill him, but at least they get that.
So even if they lose this game, Viper's still incredible.
He's really good,
He's still able to do whatever he wants. He's going to have to execute here, and this is actually what it takes for HLE to get 2 kills. It's not even a positive play. No. They lost 3 people when all is said is done. They lost their inner tier 2. Objective bounties just turned on as a result of that play. So the best thing that HLE did this game was still gold negative.
And the fact that Ben is a level up 1,000 gold, you can see just how much damage he does. And he does a really good job of getting away from this position. The ultimate onto Doran is in a great spot. The scrap shield is perfect, but this is what we're talking about. When you have an Ahri, she lacks that crucial damage.
Yeah.
So the fact that Ben is able to turn on towards Doran, because Doran lacks damage as well, means he just barely gets in. And BLG, after getting the mid lane, are able to move up and catch out Zekka. Knight looking great on this Yone.
Yeah, insult to injury as well. Zekka gets the dash interrupted.
And then Viper dies to Rumble as well, so Ben just picks up another kill. Like, it is a disaster.
Yeah, double masks now completed here for Ben. He is very, very scary. At least Doran does now complete his Trinity Force. That's why I even really needed to mention it, because to be perfectly honest, he is so far behind, doesn't even really feel like an item spike anymore. Zekka heading towards item number 2 as quickly as he possibly can. The light coming on over. Still haven't seen an honest 5v5 team fight just yet, and we may not for the rest of this game. There should be nothing to force BLG into doing it, as now Headbutt Pulverize is going to connect on to Elk. Blade Caller comes through. Delight with that ultimate running is looking okay, but there's the red carpet put down. Doran, can you get to the Mega Gnar? That's the question, but already the fight might just be over. The Gnar only won, even though he was surrounded, and it's Knight that collects another kill. 5-0-1 on this Yone.
What are you supposed to do as Hanwha? The objective isn't even up, and your entire bottom side jungle has just been taken over by BLG. Their team fighting is really coming alive with this style of composition.
And Max,
yes,
there will be no honest fight. It can never be fair with this level of income inequality.
Yeah.
I think we've learned that from society, but it's definitely present in this game.
And the funny thing was, this is a very reminiscent of this Worlds last year when BLG played up against Gen G. Game 2, was very heavily BLG favor, but they want to change it here as Hanwha.
Well, Viper's flanking. I don't know whether that's a good thing, but maybe it's going to work out here. The killer instinct is exactly that, as Elk is going to go down first, but it's a trade of 80 carries into the back line of the Dragon Pit goes Shun, and now he's looking to try and lock down the cow. They've rebuilt the Phalanx. The triple knock from Knight is absolutely gorgeous.
Okay.
They still managed to take him down, though, and there's a wallop from Doran. The team fighting Nam may have actually found something here, as Peanut is looking to push Bin away. The wallop is going to connect. What is happening? This should not be happening.
Hanwha saw no ultimates on BLG. They said, this is our moment. We need to go. And Hanwha find the perfect fight with seconds remaining on some of these ultimates.
Objective bounty collected as well. Viper started it all by being able to take Elk down with the income discrepancy, and then it was the Yone who flew into the Mega Nar. So let's watch this one more time. BLG is overstaying because they feel like they can, but it was the charm actually from Zeka that gets Elk down low enough for Viper to execute in the first place, and then really just amazing Meganar timing, and Zeka kept getting Ari ult reset, so Doran hits Mega right there, one-shots the Yone.
Crucial charm from Zeka as well on towards Knight.
Yeah.
Could have gone back with his E, but the charm into the door and knock around. But BLG, Baron?
Okay, we're just going to do a Baron. I guess that whole fight from before is just not even real. And now with a purple buff onto 5 members of BLG, they should be able to just completely reclaim entire control of the game. And of course, it's one Infernal Drake for HLE that they're able to pick up. Of course, Bounty Gold is nice. But the map still belonged to BLG.
You're saying that last Drake fight was just a big red herring.
It did feel a bit herringy, yeah.
Yeah, interesting, because you're right, the gold lead is probably bigger now
I think
than it was before the fight.
Especially with this inner turret going down, as you can see with our Rebel Baron power plate, that will extend to about 2k. 2.2, in fact. There's now some defense of these inhibitor turrets going to have to come on through. 4 members in the mid lane, though. I don't think they're saving that one, as Knight is probably dead. The flash has to be used. There's a max range impale. It is going to be the turret going down. And so they still lose that. However, Humalife back on the map now.
Zeka TP'd in after killing a turret.
Don't know about that one. On the equalizer now, but the Spirit Rush is up and available, and he's able to dash his way out. That teleport almost was his death, and at least he survives his own teleport.
It will buy a little bit of time for Hanwha on this Red Bull Baron power play, but realistically, it's only just buying them time. They don't get anything off of this. All the turrets will still remain standing, but it does at least keep BLG from knocking open the base any more than it already has.
I think now we can have a conversation about the psychology of an absolutely, like, boom game.
Yes.
Which is what this is, right? HLE, I could imagine, after about 10 minutes in, probably knew that there was going to be a low likelihood of them being able to pick up a win. If you're able to get these little advantages, find these little team fights, is extending the game because of that a good thing? Because you have to stay in this doomed game? Or is it a bad thing? I don't know what's actually better for your mentality moving into a game 3 at even stakes.
I think it depends if you can spook the other team. So the favorite thing I always have is, like, you just decide that there's like 1 or 2 people that you want to kill. So you just want to try, because they have a burst comp, right? They have a pick comp. So if they just decide, let's just try and kill Elk, or let's just try and kill Knight, that gives you a very small chance of actually turning the game around, and a very small chance of just frustrating the other team enough that they can't make a clean play. So I think for the experienced teams, just making it last as long as humanly possible, just to annoy the other team, is usually the right play.
Well, we'll see whether HLE can annoy them as they knock on their front doors. Inhibitor turret here towards the bottom side, going to be next on the menu here for BLG. But you can see HLE still pushing them away. Baron buff still up for another 30 seconds, a little bit less than that. BLG will just slink back into the enemy jungle, look to find another point of attack. We have to remember as well that both of these teams need Baron to get any sort of siege happening. We mentioned already that there's about 0 range, and so sieging these turrets ain't great, but there's a Pulverize onto 2. Featherstorm has to be used very, very early on, but Elk is still alive. The equalizer goes down. Not the most massive value, but that Blade Caller was gorgeous. The ulti to come through. The Impale is decent as well, and it's Viper that's now trying to pop off in this fight. Somehow, it's actually a 1-for-1, but Doran might be a bit more valuable than On.
The fact that Elk was able to get that Featherstorm off was crucial. Everyone in Hanwha was colliding with him on that point, but without him being CC'd, Viper couldn't ult in. then the ultimate from Bin buys space so the Kai'Sa can't actually get into the fight, and BLG get a moment to rally and push back Hanwha, but still an incredibly close fight there.
And I think HLE is really impressing me with their team fighting from this level of deficit, and I think I'll need to see it again, but the Gnar Skarner frontline is buying a massive amount of space because they get what would be a good engage until it gets dodged by Elk, and you think, okay, now they're gonna lose the fight, but no one can actually get through to Viper or Zeka this entire fight.
And Shun actually saved that for BLG. It could have been so much worse. The interruption with the Arctic Assault so that Doran couldn't get into the backline. That might have been a one fight for HLE from an 8,000 gold deficit that has now been shrunk.
But now there's no flash on Elk. He becomes a very susceptible target. Knight does have the QSS available. And as we set up here once more, Zeka on his side with Delight. Someone needs to mark him. It looks like Bin's going to be that call.
Well, this is not going to be Soul, but Soul Point available for BLG if they are able to lock this one down. HLE setting up for a bit of a battle. Bin in that fog of war. They have control vision almost everywhere. Pulverize now on cooldown, unable to battle dance his way out of there. Peanut, can you actually get anything done? The Mega Gnar coming on through it. Shun that's able to lock down the smite, but can they win the battle? That's the question. As into the backline they go, there's the charm onto Zeka, and they blow up the Ari yet again. Another double Pulverize though is now on there to try and help. Shun trying to get out of there, and he should be able to do so. Top lane is doing better. Viper gets into the backline and just executes Shun. Bin is so strong though. Peanut could not stand up to him, and as we go back, it's Viper doing the Owen Wilson impression behind enemy lines, looking to keep himself alive.
It's the TP mid though. Knight and Bin are looking to end the game. Viper will die to On.
Yeah, done with the shenanigans. Done with the shenanigans indeed. And BLG, they'll be taking down these Nexus turrets. HLE were trying to make these fights close, but in the end, the wallets will descend, and BLG will bring us to an even series and a best of 3 for the semifinals.
BLG fight back. Giga Bin for me in this game. He dominated Doran in the top lane early here. Blue side each take a game, and this is going to be a hell of a series.
Just an incredible performance from Shun as well. Controlling that early game, getting those leads for Bin, dictating the pace of that bot lane. This guy, when he's not being knocked away by Poppy, is having a fantastic time.
Oh, he's looking absolutely incredible. And the level of that last team fight as well, both teams knowing exactly what they need to do. Man, we are going to go to a short break. When we get back, everyone's going to break that one down, and we'll have game number 3. Do not go anywhere, don't you dare.
This is necessary.
Red Bull gives you wings.
streets calling. I cannot ignore it. Walking on the border, feel the devil on my shoulder. Talk to me nice. I ain't got a lot left. Talk to me right. They remember when I used to walk in the light. Now I got a little walk in the black. I've been on the verge of self-destruction. Never been this close to me erupting. I'm on the ledge. I'm seeing red. Don't think they heard what I said. Mr. Goody Two Shoes, about to choo-choo. Kill him in the new suit, man, I'm too smooth. From the light to the dark, from the truth to the lies, play a part. I'm a renegade, renegade, renegade. Better run away, run away, run away. I'm a renegade, renegade, renegade. Better run away, run away, run away. I'm a renegade, 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 renegade. You better run away. I'm a renegade, renegade, renegade. Better run away, run away, run away. I'm a renegade, renegade, renegade. Better run away, run away. Yeah, yeah. I threw away the halo, never gonna be an angel. I'm more keen and able. I've been a since the cradle. Build different, homie. You could go and track the label. I'm 100% raw, underrated. I'm belated, I'm the greatest. I'm the hero and the villain. You can pick a favorite. I'm the one that everybody said he couldn't make it. Now I'm on a mission. I'ma try to win my enemies and they gon' hate. Hate is just the love when it's intensive. Dark is just the light without the sense. And loneliness is you without the friends. Click. Giving up for me is too expensive. Renegade. I'm a renegade, renegade, renegade. Better run away, run away, run away. I'm a renegade, renegade, renegade. Better run away, run away, run away. I'm a renegade, 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 renegade. You better run away. I'm a renegade, renegade, renegade. Better run away, run away, run away. I'm a renegade, renegade, renegade. Better run away, run away. I tell the world, never label me the same. I feel nobody could relate. You can't box me in the day. I'm breaking chains, I'm in the raid. And that's just me, just me, just me. Don't box me in, it'll get interesting. Cause you don't know the pain that I'm wrestling. I'm a renegade when I ain't resting. That means all day. You don't wanna test me, this ain't no play. I could be the warm breeze on a cold day. Or the one you gambling with after a parlay. Yeah, but that's just me, just me, just me. Don't push me unless you feeling lucky, or you gonna turn this into a must-see. And I don't wanna go there, trust me. Renegade. I'm a renegade, renegade, renegade. Better run away, run away, run away. I'm a renegade, 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 renegade.
Doran sidestep from Bin is gorgeous. Shun's gonna turn up. Doran knows that he's just dead. Oh, the equalizer goes down. Doran gets flashed on as well. There's the permafrost and he's just dead again. This whole wave. Shun though hit by the charm, but now on. He gets his way in there. Knight looking to just return the favor onto Zeka. He's not allowed to play the game this time around. G2 is showing up now again. Oh, the equalizer does go down, but Zeka is here to try and defend Doran. Still, it's just gonna be a kill in the 2v1.
BLG take game 2, and Atlas did say it was going to be a blue side diffy because it's incredibly overpowered, and I think this is one of the things that I would like to discuss, because if it is the case, then it's Homa Life again on blue in the next one. That's the side they've selected. Red back to blue, they would win, right? But I don't want to have this reductionist approach to a best of 5 with so many intricacies, but how much was it the blue side, and how much was it the blue side choices that were made, and the approach in the lane swap?
I mean, I don't think it's that much about the side, to be honest. Yes, they did let the Yone through, but I think that was more of a bit of a test to say, okay, we're throwing down the gauntlet. Knight, can you actually have a good game on Yone? Turns out the answer is yes. But I think it was more about execution, and I know Emily wanted to talk about the lane swap. To me, that's where this game was largely decided.
I'm on desk. Let's talk about some lane swaps. So this is basically just going through some key decision making. Prior to this setup, you're gonna note that in on the mini map here, we initially had a 2v2 in mid with Zeka and Delight, and then Knight and Bin. Bin is going to TP in up here, and then HLE have a choice, right? Because Doran is still here. They could either send Doran bot, because right now, this bot lane is pushing hard in for BLG, right? And Shun actually was able to get his own blue. He did get the big wolf stolen from him, but then he's able to path here, go into the red side jungle as well. So he's gonna get a good jungle start off of this additionally. And then this sets up, Bin is actually able to play this out, gets all this XP. He's in a great spot. Meanwhile, on the bot side, BLG zone off Delight completely because he's by himself, right? And so the big question is, now that Doran's here, do you go for the entire 4-man dive, right, and swap, or not? And what this ends up setting up is this setup onto Doran, where he just did not have a good time. Shun was responding to every peanut gank, and then he just kept revisiting topside.
And that is something that we know Doran does. And I think part of it is a run of effect. The game state was already rough, but he has been known to try and dig himself out of a rough situation, only to end up even further underneath the ground. And unfortunately, with that repeat gank from Shun, that was the case here.
For the uninitiated, was HLE bad at lane swaps?
No, not really. I think that just in this specific instance, BLG really outplayed them.
Well, I mean, to me, I think they were bad in lane swaps in this game.
Well, yeah,
because at the end of the day, it's like they just tried to do two things. And I think in a lane swap, you have to commit fully to doing one thing really, really well. If you kept a light top and did a 4-man dive, I think that Bin dies. And if you actually just TP Doran down to bot and you can hold the tower too, I think that works well too.
What do you mean? They did commit to running it down. It got out of hand real quick is what I'm trying to say here. And I think that's also to the credit of BLG, right? You have to catch if someone throws, but I also think they had the initiative. They had the blue side. They had Knight on Yone, which I think was passed with flying colors to say something, but this isn't really a game state in which it was too difficult for him.
Yeah, and we're gonna see some awesome Knight Yone gameplay in combination. Bin also increasing that rumble. If he's trying to beat the I don't want my team to make me play rumble, it's not working. He's going to have to keep playing it. But I think the big thing for me is this is classic BLG. Really, really pushing their advantages hard when they get them. This was the top team in the LPL, and it was great to see Knight pop off on this Yone because it was a risk to leave it open.
And I just think it's always interesting in these games, you know, what is the takeaway for HLE from this game? Is it that, oops, we should have banned Yone, or is it that, darn, we actually messed up the lane swap and Yone wasn't a problem? So, you know, their takeaway from this kind of gets a little bit confusing because of all the other issues.
Well, that's the main thing, because you can come out of this game if they got effectively perfect game. There was no hope. But it got kind of muddied by the way that Hanwha Life was still able to win a bunch of fights. And what is the takeaway from Hanwha Life? I think the Yone should be off limits for the rest of the game, but how are they going to feel? Because still the team fighting, even though I think On in particular had an incredible team fighting game, from Hanwha Life brought this game back to a state where it felt like BLG could have actually kind of lost control. Obviously, they pulled it back and were able to close it out cleanly nonetheless.
You tell me, what do you think they should take from it now that they're on blue again?
I think that we have clearly identified that the RE is not working for either side, given what we've seen. But I do also agree with Isaac that it was mainly the early game decisions, I think, that really hamstrung Hanwha Life. If Hanwha Life can find these fights while still being this far behind, a relatively even game state with what I've seen thus far in the series will always favor.
I mean, they were 7,000 or 8,000 gold behind, right? If you take some of these fights that were this close, when you're down 2 or 3K even just a little bit, it could have easily gone their way. So it is a little bit interesting. Obviously, they are going to be going back to blue side. I think everyone's going to be favoring blue side in this meta because there's so many must bans on red. But I'm really excited to see what the next evolution is.
I do want to give BLG credit for immediately pivoting and draft. Like the Poppy, the Silas, one of the biggest pieces of criticism we saw to a lot of teams last year was not adapting in the best of 5. They do it after game 1.
Yeah, and we're wow, nice thing.
I know, synchronization. And now they have a tough time, right? Because they're back on red. They don't want to give up Yone. They don't want to give up Aurora. But that means they have to then decide, okay, is it the Silas? Because we already know Zeka is going to first pick it. Is it the Poppy? Do we not want Peanut on that? We don't think the Silas was a problem. So back to Isaac's draft point over here, I'm also curious to see what BLG cite as that first round pick that they want to take off the table in addition to the Aurora and Yone, or if we'll see them full open it and the Aurora versus the Yone thing comes in.
Okay, I see. All right, casters, what's it gonna be? B1 and R1, tell me right now.
We've actually been having this whole discussion and we can't actually figure it out. Do you go for the trade? Do you allow the Aurora and the Yone to be up? Do you say, well, maybe we can just beat this Poppy and Silas that Hummer Life Esports put together last time if we're able to actually win a fight earlier on around the grubs, things like this. Maybe we don't have that game warping play. Like, I think that there's so many different things that you can do, but I think the most likely, to me, is you just throw it all out, right? You say, like, Aurora, Yone, we'll leave them both up and just see what happens.
Well, I think especially when you
never
want...
mind.
Okay,
I take it all back.
But I think it is curious to see if this Jax ban gets dropped, because Poppy, the Silas, personally, I feel like were bigger issues than actually a Jax coming through for Doran. So I am curious if that third ban here after the Oni I expect to come through on red side here for Philly Billy does end up opening up into something a bit different.
For sure, and since we're back on blue side, the game 1 bans when HLE was blue side was Callista, Renekton, Skarner, and the BLG bans were Aurora, Yone, Jax. Whether or not last game's Yone read changes things, I think the first pick Silas read would definitely change things. Not necessarily in banning it, but having a different thing to pick against it for Knight. That looks to me like the direction that we're going. The order did change for HLE, so they're waiting on this Renekton ban to see if they want to keep it, because they would want to be able to respond if BLG change up in the final ban phase.
Yeah, I'm interested to see whether that one does stay. I don't think that the onus is on HLE to change things up. I think they could just keep it, but instead, yeah, you're right. The Vi is going to come on through. Now that last ban that was the Jax probably could be something else, and the Ezreal is going to be the ban instead. Really interesting that they leave open the Silas this time around and the Poppy.
Yeah, it says to me that they kind of identified, look, we want to play dive against Hanwha. Let's just make sure that that Ezreal that can try and escape is going to be totally fine, but immediate pickup at the Jax to the opposite side, and oh my god, we're swapping it here.
All right, the Silas going to be locked in. How's your rise, Zeka? That's always been the answer to the Silas, right, guys?
Well, I think this is really interesting, because I think what BLG identified was, hey, if we give the Jax, we can actually take the Ashe, because the Silas problem is that if we take Ashe, the enemy team gets an Ashe ult, right? But now you're in a position where you have a good matchup as the Silas into the Yari. You don't have that stolen away Ashe shower. You basically win out on bot lane push, and now you get that counter pick in the top side as well. But it is a curiosity as to what Bin wants to go there.
I am
I'm baffled
big
as well.
BLG fan right now from the first 2 picks, because the Renekton ban, I think, triggers the Jax ban a lot of times. So BLG can still just pick Renekton on 3, I think have a good matchup. They'll still have great ultimates for Silas. They'll still have push with Ashe that can block the Callista pick. I think they're just getting so much red side value out of these first 2 picks already.
All I'm saying is, Bin used to be called I Love Camille. So,
yeah,
always an angle for him to just match firepower with firepower, right? And especially when you've already got a lot of dive, you've got that set up from the Ashe. You don't necessarily need that coming through from your top half of the map either, but On going to try and take the Rakan away from Delight, but also very strong pick for him, it looks like, but
Okay.
Freljord?
The good old Freljord bottom lane could be coming on through, although the Gnar, as we've seen, sort of surging in priority, going to be an answer here. Depends on who you ask, but some can say a self-counter pick. We know that Keen has been pretty outspoken saying that Jax just kind of wins in this matchup, but it's certainly been seen as all sorts of different things over the years.
And I mean, this tells me that the Renekton ban's gone for the rest of the series. The fact that Jax still got first picked, the fact that Renekton didn't get picked whatsoever, but I still really do like the 1-2-3 here from BLG.
I think the biggest problem is actually just the fact that Nocturne's now locked in, because it makes it kind of difficult for BLG to work together on the dive with a Silas and an R, but also leaves his Ashe very vulnerable. So as everyone jumps in onto the back line, Ashe is kind of left on her lonesome, and in theory she has the range, but you don't really have anyone to sit beside her. So I'm curious if we even get something like a Renata to nearly round out this composition for On, just to give some sort of backline support to Ashe in this scenario.
And we'll see what type of flexibility BLG can show, because I think they can actually absorb with these 3 picks at the moment. If they were hovering Braum, and if that Renata ban is real, which I think it is, I think they can still take Braum and just absorb a lot of this dive. But that's not the type of team we've seen win a lot of games. We've seen the full dive teams just matching up against each other, but I really like the angle here for them to just pick more protect champions. I'd love them to lock in this Braum right here.
I feel like they've just been playing really good reactionary League of Legends over the last couple of games. Even in the game that they lost, that was incredibly close for the majority of it. That is going to be the Rakan locked in the end, though. On did have a brilliant performance in game number 2, so they're going to stick with that one. And now HLE rounding out their bottom side of the map. No Ezreal, no Kai'Sa. Definitely his two best. The Twitch ban is absolutely adorable. We'll see where he's going to go, though, as Zeri. I haven't seen her for a while.
Yeah, I think it was to try and deny the Xayah Rakan coming through from Hanwha and kind of having that safety for the dive.
Oh,
Zeri is what he is. It's
the
been a long
Zeri
one
of the
since
tournament.
I've seen this. Yeah.
Okay. And Delight is going to lock away the Rel at the same time. Look.
They're going in.
Yeah, they are.
They're going in. We'll see. We'll see about the Zeri. And I figured they're lane swapping anyway, and they're going to have so much power through the Jax R that they can kind of just wait for the Zeri to be late game insurance.
Well, that is a Wukong. That is a lot of mid-game power, if ever you see it, but not necessarily a lot of early game, and I guess in response to the Nocturne, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, and that's where my head's at is, hey, you just farm to level 6 alongside the Nocturne and become really strong. Also, when you look at BLG, you know, Ashe should have pushed into that bottom side of the map. Nara in those early stages can control that matchup in the top side as well, so you're not necessarily needed early on the map as Shun. So I think it is a nice adaptation to go for a jungler that can match some of that teamfight potential. Plus, again, you kind of have an access to both sides of the fight as a Wukong. You both access to both sides of the fight as a Rakan as well, thanks to that charm. So I think it is BLG trying to cover for some of the weakness of a potential dive onto the Ashe.
And I just want to say, as far as ultimates for Sylas are concerned, I imagine Knight's feeling pretty good. You mentioned Nocturne and stuff like that being really important. Both teams have a Nocturne. For all intents and purposes. And one of them has more mobility than the other. So playing around both paranoias is, I think, going to be very confusing for us, but something that both of these teams really do need to take into account as well. But it feels to me like back-to-back really, really good drafts coming out of BLG moving into this third game. And this is for match point, right? You win this and you have so much extra leeway in this series. And you can choose which side you win on if they manage to take it this time.
And I think getting a red side win, if they're able to do so, is just so valuable. The reason they are in the situation where they don't have the blue side priority is because they were a 3-2 team in the Swiss stage, so they didn't have side select coming in, and then the loser of every game in the series gets choice the next time. So if BLG did win this one, even if HLE could choose blue in game 4, if they then won game 4, BLG could get blue game 5. So it's just an extra little wrinkle that would really put them in the driver's seat if they win.
Certainly would. It's like losing a service game, right? And that is not great when it comes to tennis, unless you're really good at not necessarily being a server. It's a different game and not one that I'm all that familiar with, so we're going to get off that topic.
You're brave to go down that one, because I've got no experience in tennis.
I like that Roger Federer guy. He was pretty cool. I was sad when he retired. It's okay, Knight is going to find Delight. And Delight is just going to crash his way out of there.
All right, 15 love.
Spells needed.
Deuce?
Yeah, do we have... Who's serving on the next play,
We're done.
Did you actually just go from 15 love to deuce, like, straight away?
Yeah,
Damn, it's like a triple kill. Okay, beautiful. Well, we're grouping. We're trying to get something done here. As Peanut, some Dustbringer value as Doran off to the side, avoids a little bit as the volley does come on through, slows him down momentarily, but he does make his way out. Delight was ready for the crash over the wall. Zeka moving on in now, so will we have some relatively normal lanes? That's the question, as I think we're going back to Australia, never mind.
Yeah, and the fact that Bin is already on this lane and the bottom side hasn't shown is kind of given an opportunity here for him to get that push. You can see Doran immediately trying to get on towards this bottom side. Going to invest the TP again, so very similar to level 1. Zelt getting nice damage here.
That's a flash in from On, going to go for that grand entrance. Viper already having to flash as Delight crashes his way out, but already Viper down to half health and without one of his summoner spells, one of the most crucial ones as they look to match this lane swap.
And the early Ashe laning phase, being able to catch them like that as well as getting the early flash is just going to be a lot of pain for the Delight and Viper. I mean, this is part of why some people were lane swapping in the first place, is to avoid some of these disastrous 2v2 matchups. So really good. It's a little bit of a flip when you're doing these send both duo lanes top type of lane swap prevention methods, but BLG win this one.
I'm also curious what On does off this crash. Not going to look for any sort of invade, I believe, with Shun, actually. Although he is not doing his red buff, so maybe they want to look for some sort of play. No, he's just going to, finish his red buff there. But I think he might need to come and cover mid, because Knight getting a hell of a lot of damage put down with Zika. Has just picked over to level 3, so we'll have access to all of his abilities, but not in the best of spots in this early stages.
This is the true mirror matchup, right? As far as our game number 1 is concerned, as in goes Doran, looking for Bin here momentarily to hop out. Mean that the Nara is just fine, hitting that Mega Nara as well. I'm very interested to see how this mid lane matchup's going to go, because do you know what? I just want to see Ari do okay in this lane. As you're exactly right, Shun, looking for a little bit of an angle here, as I love it. We've got matching spooky skins as well from our junglers, so jungler synergy, I think, is actually very, very important, and we do have it here between Peanut and Shun.
And speaking about the Ari versus Sylas matchup, if it goes anything like it went the first time when opposite players were playing it, the Ari does win early. It's range versus melee.
Yeah, right.
You have slightly better wave clear early on in the game. It's just if Sylas keeps it close and then has adequate items, steals your Ari ultimate, you're just better than Ari at that stage in the game. So that's how it played out in the first game. Zetka actually was down about 15 CS as the Sylas, around like 100 to 85 was the breakpoint that I saw. So it looks to be starting that way in this one.
Well, Doran here getting the shove in, and Bin just going to be catching the wave, but Doran actually doing a decent job. And I do want to talk about this because I think that Doran gets a lot of flack as a top laner, and I think that is, you know, thanks to me in a lot of part, right? Like, I think that a lot of us have been pretty critical of this guy. His Jax has been really good. And as far as Jax play is concerned, he's very different to that of, you know, Bin's Jax, for example, that just destroys 1v1, feels like he's an absolute monster in a side lane that always needs to be answered. It's Doran in team fights that makes this Jax look absolutely ridiculous. Him getting multi-man counter-strikes and setting up for the rest of his team is sort of how he makes this champion feel so good.
And the respect has been there from BLG towards Doran's Jax this whole series. Like, can you believe that BLG actually banned Jax
me away.
2 games in a row when Bin is on the team? Like, I've never seen that before.
No, I don't understand it. Viper is going to be pushed away from the lane once again, as you can see as far as CS is concerned, down about 10 as Delight in somewhat of a precarious position. Peanut going to be moving up as well. Delight looking for a bit of a crash down angle. Grand Entrance going to be getting a knockup. Good little interruption there, as now On is in a bit of trouble. Viper trying to get these burst fires down, but Shun looking for him. Dash out, and it looks like Viper will be safe for the moment. The clone coming on through here as it's Peanut taking the majority of the damage. He might be able to get out of there. The extended range of that extendo beam out from Viper is going to deter them, and BLG will back away.
It was a little awkward from the beginning because Shun flashed to try and give On some sort of way to battle dance his way to safety, but he ends up going back towards Elk, and then, I mean, Ash value, right? Approach velocity, you're able to chase down people so well once you get a couple of these autos, and Elk not exactly happy about that terror shot, but definitely taking control in this top side, but needs to get a reset in. 25 seconds until Void Grubs. Like to spend some of that gold and make sure that he can get his health back up.
Okay, so here towards this bottom side, Doran just once again pushing in another wave. Zeka with control of the mid lane, and as far as tempo in comparison to the last game, it feels so much more even. It feels like BLG sort of had HLE on the back foot for the majority of the early game. This time around, HLE have been able to make some moves here as Grand Entrance going to get a knock up, but the charm was good there onto Shun.
Jax is moving up first, though, ahead of Gnar.
Yeah, Doran is going to dive on top of Knight here for the moment. Peanut only level 5. Level 6 so important for both of these junglers. You can see Shun still level 5 himself as the grubs have been started up. Peanut, of course, does these pretty quickly with the Umbral Blades.
Ash didn't reset though, so you're in a position where Elk has to try and catch the wave, so Halma should just get these, and because Doran has so much control on that bottom side, the roam up nullifies Bin having that teleport advantage, so nice job here by Halma to play out the map state.
Oh, wow, that sidestep, absolutely beautiful there for Viper, as 3 grubs will go over to HLE. Feels like for the first time being able to actually take control of the grub pit.
I'm still not sure that Viper's human, based off what I've seen so far at Worlds.
He's a snake, clearly.
He seems to be scripting or something. Like, I'm not sure what it is, but I know he's on stage, so it's impossible. He's just that good with his movement.
I can confirm I've spoken to him, and he did not sound like an android.
Interesting.
So
that's how they get you, though.
Yeah, I know. Well, this is the thing, you know. You never really can tell. Just have to say, I was recently watching Battlestar Galactica, so I can confirm that it is very hard to tell them apart. Shun going to be taking the first dragon here. BLG going to be able to at least get that one. So a trade of neutrals here in this early game. Not going to be that monopoly that we saw in game number 2. A very different game is now the crash down onto On. He's going to be able to grand exit. Not a ward, but it doesn't seem to matter as the big collapse here from HLE towards the top side going to be given up on for the minute.
But look at where the wave is. So Elk and On have to aggress here, and that just sets up.
If at first you don't succeed, go for another one here as On is going to look to turn this one around. There's the paranoia diving right in on top. As can they actually get a first blood? Goes over to Zeka, the extendo beam will be able to lock it down. down for Viper as well, and both carries walking away wealthy from that one.
Great play from Hanwha. The wave was in a horrible spot for Elk. He needed to crash it so it wouldn't be frozen on him, and Hanwha collapse as a result and pick off both of the BLG bot laners.
And that's everybody being on the same page. The kill distribution was also ideal. Zeka gets a kill for his time, and then Viper, the hyper carry, who was in a tough lane situation early against Ashe, is now even in CS and a kill up.
And so much of it comes back to that early play as well from Peanut, playing up around that top side, denying Elk the reset that he needed. He was in a position to really get this wave pushed out so he could actually take his first back, and Elk and On end up being in a fantastic spot, or sorry, in a terrible spot as a result. And Delight, Viper, just waiting here. You can see in River, the chase down is so good. Delight gets on, and at this stage, they try to trade forward. You think with the ultimate for Elk, he's okay, but really great stuff from Hanwha and Viper being able to just barely pick up the kill on the exit as well.
Fights like that is why teams are prioritizing Ahri so much. I know there's a lot of conversation about it being a bait pick, but just the space that you can cover there when the other team is just trying to crash a wave. Like, it's a relatively normal lane thing, but if it's a different mid laner, they actually can just flash away from that Nocturne and get away. Ahri can just close so much distance, though, to get the damage down and get the kill.
And you have to say, you can understand some of the frustration here out of the BLG camp, because it did feel like they walked away from that draft feeling pretty good, right? And as a coach, you're walking off that stage and you're feeling like, I gave my players exactly what they need to win. And I think that they did, but after this start, things could be getting a little bit hairy. However, do want to just go back to the fact that this is not a massive gold lead by any means. It is one Drake in favor of BLG as well. And these Ahris have just been instantly dying. And if that happens again, I don't like HLE's chances in this one, so I wouldn't be counting any chickens just yet.
I think the nice thing for Hanwha, though, is that they've already sent Doran to this top side. He's going to be able to keep pressure there, bin TP to the bottom lane. So for the Void Grubs that are in 45 seconds, this could be a potential 6 grub buff for an Ahri and a Jax on a side lane. So there's definitely some avenues of attack here for Hanwha. And I think what we've seen is that BLG, when they start to fall behind in this series, haven't been confident enough to kind of get the lanes assignments correctly the first time around. They take a second or two to get everything back in order. So this is where I want to see BLG just from this point now start to figure out how they want to get onto the map, and a lot of that is going to be bin rotating up to the top side, being in a position to try and contest these Void Grubs and finding some sort of fight off the fact you have a pick with the Ashe.
Exactly, and we are going to take some time just to have a look at the beautiful Adidas Arena and some of our players
Max.
here, as there is a little bit of a pause.
Who paused, Max?
If it is that guy on the screen right there, I can tell him right now he does not have a static shiv. That's why it's not going off. Yeah. Just to go back to some drama in the LCK. It was an HLE peripheral issue, and it might be that gentleman on your screen right there, as we can see. But hopefully we get that one sorted out as quickly as possible. I love it when we hear peripheral issue, because it's the least difficult to solve. You know, my stuff is broken. Please fix. You know, and that's the long and short of it. We hang out in sepia mode for just a little bit, and then we go back. Yeah. So it was Doran. Maybe it was a sippy cup incident. I hear there are a few of those all across the world.
They've been shockingly absent at this World Championship, but I gotta say...
Oh, you shouldn't have said it.
This is such... Yeah, they'll never happen again. This has been such a cool venue for quarterfinals. I know we're only on day 2, but a lot of times with these quarterfinals being like a Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, sometimes it doesn't like fill out in the first few games, especially if you're in Europe. Maybe because G2 didn't make it, it's not going to be exciting. But the fans here have just been absolutely incredible. They bring so much hype. They cheer whenever there's a good play. It's just one of the best places to ever do an esports event.
I agree. I actually can't remember an event in Paris that wasn't completely bananas as far as like the turnout, as well as just the passion from all the fans. So I would 100% agree. And I feel like we're so lucky, right? Like the Adidas Arena has only been here for a couple of different events, and then we get to take advantage of it right now. So absolutely joyous. You're having a look at it right now as Delight getting ready to get back into this one, as I believe we've given Doran an extra keyboard or an extra mouse or an extra headset or something like that, and he is ready to play some League of Legends again, and we are ready to watch him. And so here we go, back onto the Rift once more. Zeka going to continue clearing out that ward, as Shonen On will be able to get rid of this control ward as well. BLG just moving towards some control of these grubs, which is exactly what they've been looking out for the last little while.
Yeah, maybe the tipping point to the series here, especially in Game 3, the early trades going back and forth. I think HLE definitely punched back in a meaningful way, but you know if the Silas gets one big fight, he can kind of just take over the game as well. So, as you were mentioning, Dag, that this next grub fight could be big.
But watch how Helmar are already moving here. So, shifting Ari down to the bot side, Zeri moving to mid to get mid control to come across. Bin has no TP available, and this is what I'm saying. BLG, they're going to opt into a fight that could be a numbers disadvantage for them here.
Yeah, a lot of vision available as well, and of course, when you've got Paranoia to play around, that can be a danger. That is going to be grub number 1 locked down here for BLG. You know that HLE want to be able to get at least one of these. As now Doran looking for a bit of a wraparound, and it looks like it's going to be one grub going over to Hanwha, and BLG just going to cut their losses and leave.
Bin was walking up from River, but he'd actually popped Meganar, so BLG in the grand scheme of things wouldn't have been able to go for a proper fight. I think just happy to deny that 6 grub buff to Hanwha there.
And these teams, aside from a little bit of over-aggression in Game 2 by HLE when they were trying to get back in the game, have been incredibly measured about the fights that they actually take right there. So that was teams not wanting to overcommit into what would have been a losing fight. And now they're just going to start setting up this Drake, I'd imagine.
It's also great to see Bin being the one that's going up against the Ari, because when you look at the itemization coming through from Doran, he's definitely going more towards the, hey, I want to go up against the on-hit Gnar, whereas you're going in towards the melee matchup. Now, same could be said obviously on the opposite side, because you've got the steel cap boots for Bin as well, but I think when you've got a little bit more range there, it's easier for you to deal with an Ari than the Silas who just wants to jump onto Doran every time.
I will say though, BLG has camped this Silas top lane with no teleport, so the Dragon, if HLE wants to set up and kind of hard force it, they'd be in a pretty good position to do so, because they could get a 5v4 and probably just stop BLG from contesting altogether.
Not to mention the fact that Doran's pretty okay in that matchup as well, up against the Silas. Has been when, you know, once upon a time, Silas was a top laner. Jax didn't do too badly into the matchup. Of course, patches do dictate a little bit of who's going to win out in those ones, but that's sort of my memory trying to kick in there just a little bit. Peanut grabbing the Hex Plate as well, and we'll see how that one's going to go. There's a few different schools of thought when it comes to the first item for the Nocturne. Gentlemen, what are your favorites?
I like Stridebreaker.
Yes.
Yeah. I feel like a lot of people like Stridebreaker.
But Peanut is in World's quarterfinal, so like I'm not sure who I'm going to take sides on here.
It was Canyon that was the one that just said Hexplate is the best, and you should always build that
He's a
first.
world champion. So.
He is a world champion.
The people we've checked with so far are really good at the game.
Yeah. I've heard that Canyon's pretty good. But we've seen Stridebreaker be very, very valuable as well. So interested to see what Peanut's going to make of this particular item, as already he's utilizing it to destroy a dragon.
A little interesting that Knight actually pushed, recalled, deployed to potentially contest. Gnar moved top so he could teleport down, and then they gave it away anyway because Shun wanted to go get Trinity Force, and the timing is just not quite there. So no one really cares about one Cloud Drake, I've noticed. I don't think BLG is going to be too sad about that.
I think BLG are basically saying, look, we don't really want to fight. Let's just scale into our 2-item spike.
Yeah.
Because a huge amount of it is funnel those resources on towards Knight, leave Bin to actually be able to put pressure into this matchup on the top side. You can see he's got a 600 gold lead for himself. And as long as we are denying a potential dive on the bottom side, we're perfectly happy. Elk can fire off a couple of arrows, maybe fish for a pick, but let's just wait until we hit this second item and we'd really come online.
You can see Bin is going to have that back interrupted. He's ahead by a whole lot of gold, largely to do with the fact that he's, I believe, picked up a few of these plates as well as having a decent CS lead. Same can be said for Zeka in that mid lane. But I believe, like, it feels like both of these teams have a very similar idea on how they want to win the game, and that is not now. As here, bit of a fight towards the bottom side of the map as Zeka looking for those chains. The charm is going to connect though. That should be the disengage that Zeka is looking for, but still, the Silas already looking dangerous.
But now we can start to move up towards this Rift Tower. It's already been started by Hanwha. No teleport available for Knight. But I don't know if BLG are in a position to try and fight for this. You've already got the reset, so Hanwha are going to pick this one up.
Yeah, Peanut just going to be able to take that one away. And as we get the MasterCard lane economy snapshot, it's going to be a lot of red towards the top side of the map. But you can see both carries on HLE looking very, very strong.
A lot of trepidation from both teams in what could be a swing match in this series. Not too shocked to see the snapshot like this. Gnar has generally been able to get extended gold leads in a lot of these matchups, and if he can get a kill onto Doran, he could really set him behind, but Doran's playing safe enough.
Yeah, I think the real focal point for me has been how Peanut and Delight are playing around this mid wave. Because Elk has that ultimate available at all points in time, and the ability for On and Shun to destroy Viper is there at a minute's notice. But with how well Peanut and Delight have been, hey, we're going to shove in mid, keep Viper safe, then lean bot side, so Peanut is always in range of his ultimate support people like Zeka. It's made it really difficult for BLG to really open up on the map. Now BLG looking for the trade on map state with the Rift Herald being invested onto this bottom side.
Yep, that's going to be a turret going down. First turret blood over to HLE. That's going to give them a decent advantage, although it's answered immediately, so it is just that extra first turret gold that is able to be picked up as Arrow going to connect, and the immediate collapse comes down. Delight just didn't know what hit him. Cyclone comes on through as now Peanut's going to join. The paranoia is going to be there. The fear, it goes off as on, looks for that backline, but Zeka, it's a great sidestep, and the ulti comes through from the full health Seri. And oh dear, we may need to certify it as Doran is going to drop the lamppost on them, and Ben, he's got other things to say. It's a decent counter-strike, but is it going to be enough? He does take down on. He gets the double, but then he falls.
BLG absolutely pounce on the lackadaisical Rift Herald play by HLE. Bin cleans up 2 kills. They actually managed to kill Viper at the end of that fight, and that is a massive turn.
It's a brilliant collapse from BLG, and one they were setting up for a night, hiding in that bush with the Ari ultimate, and it's the immediate dive after Elk connects with this. You can see the second setup for the Rift Herald is coming through, and it's perfect timing. They immediately jump on towards the light, and as Shun goes in here, everything is used on towards the Wukong, who flashes away, which buys time for Knight to get those cooldowns back up. On uses the ultimate through everyone to buy space once more, and watch this dodge from Knight, just barely getting past the charm with that Ari ultimate, means that then everyone has to overextend for him, buying time for everyone to jump on towards Viper, and on with this knock-up seals the deal for even more in BLG's favor.
Yeah, once those teleports started coming in, you knew it was on. They've been waiting so long for this fight in this game.
Yeah,
BLG
finally,
close to that red side win.
Yeah, some happiness coming out after turning things around here. 2,000 gold, 1,300 gold. I tell a lie, is going to be the advantage here as HLE looking to try and crash this one through as well. They should be able to take this down. 4Grub's going to be helping out there, of course. And Doran in the side lane is going to be very, very scary unless he gets hit by an arrow from downtown. The chain's going to connect as well. Delight just has to watch, but does provide a leap strike target. And Doran, they do get the turret, and he just makes his way out. Knight doesn't quite find the chains.
Actually really important that Doran was able to escape this, even though it's likely going to make him reset. How good is Elk? Back-to-back cross-map arrows.
Yeah.
But they're trying to make this into a big tempo play. How long they delayed these recalls.
Yeah, they're trying to delay it because Dragon is in 20 seconds. So if they can deny the back once again, Delight doing a great job of blocking the potential Quill there from on. Now they get to move over on towards this bottom side of the map and actually match. Doran doesn't have TP, but Elk ultimate down. The ultimate coming through wasn't really burnt by on there, so BLG still have a chance, has been sitting just shy of this Mega Gnar form.
Yep, no ultimate going to be on the Jax if they actually want to fight this Mountain Drake, so BLG should probably just start this. Bin also has perfect rage management before this fight. Going to make sure it doesn't go down too low, get some hits on that mid-wave.
Yep, and you've got a fair bit of vision available here for Hummer Life Esports to be able to get on over. Try and do battle here for the first Mountain Dragon of the game. Teleport to come through here from Zeka, who just completes his Leandri's. That is 2-item spike done here for the Ari. Could be massive moving into this fight, but look at the Naba onto Bin. Keep your eyes on this now to see what he can get done there as Knight is going to hijack the Spirit Rush. Both teams ready for a battle here. Extendo Beam not going to quite find it there as the arrow will connect onto the Jax. They all dive forward. Can he get the counter-strike? And he does manage to do it, but he's still going to go down. There goes the Rel at the same time, and the Charm will connect, but the Charm does not matter. It's Knight that's able to pick up a double, and HLE, they are more than on the ropes now. They're going to lose their outer turret, and that could have been a game-ending play.
Internationally, Knight is known for his Ari, but domestically, he is a monster on the Silas. And when he gets access to the best of both worlds, he is showing up on this international stage, shutting down Hanwha and securing the Dragon for BLG.
It's looking like Silas is a better Ari than Ari.
Yeah, and it was HLE that told us that.
Incredible, and this time, this fight, I really think HLE needed to give it up, but they want to keep the train moving. They're going for Knight.
Yep, Charm is going to connect there as the Chain Lash not quite going to work out. Peanut is going to make him a little bit afraid as the Orb of Deception comes down. He's buying so much time as even Doran's going to make his way in. You can see Delight, he was right there. They didn't want to take any chances. They're still going to be able to take him down.
Solid shutdown, but overall that fight, BLG was set up on the Drake. They had a nice line of scrimmage set. Bin was about to hit Mega Gnar. It's one of those things where HLE is just not in a good position, so you're kind of just waiting to see who BLG picks to kill. And once that happens, I just don't necessarily know what the plan was here for HLE. The setup was perfect by BLG.
Peanut also just wasn't involved in the fight. Yes, he popped the darkness, but he would have liked to jump on towards the Ashe, but with the way BLG were set up, he wouldn't been diving into his death.
Yeah.
So you're
never
just
getting
4
through the
versus
Mega Gnar.
5. Exactly, and it was a great trigger pull from BLG to just say, you are not in position, we can take the fight.
Well, this one certainly looking like it's turning towards a BLG favored game. Still, gold lead nowhere near what it was in game number 2. HLE still in with a shot. We'll see what they can actually get done, because it feels like the game plan from BLG is working out a whole lot better.
For sure, and I think even that last fight, the fact that HLE even did that makes me think that they're feeling a lot of pressure, that the game is actually falling out of their control, because it was not a good look. And I feel like if that was in the LCK in a lower pressure match, I don't think they would have actually tried to force that 5v5. So they really need to just reset their mental here, realize they're behind, and try and take some smart fights.
And that's why they're trying so hard to punish Knight on the side lane, because they need to try and deny this 1-3-1 setup. Maybe looking it on here.
There we go.
Yeah, there's the paranoia to dive in. They should be able to take down Elf. There it goes. The Magnustorm is going to come through as well. As there's the Cyclone. Shun trying to turn this one around is on. He's not going to be able to help out. Still, Viper is dead. And the teleport from Gigabin into that backline. Second, nowhere to go. And he's just clobbered on the head. That is going to be HLE having to back out of that one. It looked like it was such a good start to the fight.
You all forgot about Bin, the TP in with the Mega Gnar, and that's what I was about to point out. He was nearly 3,000 gold ahead of Doran on a side lane. It's only exploded even further now. This Gnar is taking over this game, and there's zero Hanwha have a response for.
The gold lead is Bin. Bin is the difference. It was a good look, as you mentioned, onto the Ashe, but once you're flying in there with the Rel and the Nocturne, the protection that could exist for Viper is gone. So he kills Elk, but then Wukong gets onto Viper so well with the Rakan, and then they end up trading 80 carries, and it buys time for Bin to arrive.
And it is a great ward that Hallmark are trying to play off. Spot Elk when he's trying to play safe on the mid wave, but BLG are just in a position to follow up. They'd already pushed in that bottom wave. It was the play, the Hail Mary play for them to try and come back into it. And that, I believe, is the BLG cheer rally, the fan head. So it's nice to see that he's made it to Paris again.
Absolutely. Looking like he's doing his job well at the same time, and especially while BLG are performing this well. Now moving ahead to about a 3,000 gold advantage. These incremental leads that they're piecing together. 1.5 minutes until this next Drake is up and available, but Baron is on the map, has been there for about 3 minutes, and that could be a port of call for both of these teams to try and grab some control.
And Dagda, I also want to talk about BLG and their inconsistency in Swiss stage, because they were inconsistent in single games in the LPL all the time. They dropped so many game ones of best of 3s and best of 5s, but they were so good at recovering and taking control of the rest of the series. They're trying to do exactly the same thing against HLE, and they have wrapped around.
Oh, Doran. Oh, the switch of positions! That was gorgeous! I'd say probably a little bit lucky as well, but you have to give it to him.
Straight between the uprights, but in the best way.
And they both celebrate by spinning around after they trade places. Man, Cirque du Soleil, I love it.
Could they do that again if they tried?
I don't think so.
But excellent stuff from Dora to get away from that. But yeah, I think for BLG, it's great to see them coming back into form, because yes, they did drop singular games, but I think there was a definite issue with their meta read, how they're approaching fights coming in from Swiss. But this is more like it, and it's Knight coming onto his champions, like the Ari looking great, the LeBlanc looking great. The Silas has domestically been an incredibly strong pick for this guy. He had like a 2v5 base hold against some teams back in like 2022 spring on this champion, but we haven't really got to see him bring it out on the international stage. But now you're seeing why it's so feared domestically.
And they're going to be trying to set up with this Drake here. Currently, Bin, I'm trying to find him on the map, has no rage at the moment, so they don't have exactly the same setup, but as long as HLE doesn't start the Drake, they can start to get control.
I mean, he's 3-item mini now. He still is very dangerous, as it turns out, with this Wits End that he's just completed. And yeah, Doran going to make his way in. Hammer Life Esports Not wanting to give away soul point here, especially when it's that mountain soul, will make Bin almost impossible to kill. Shun taking half of his health bar from Zeka here, who's already used his ultimate. Now that Nabar is looking brilliant. Oh, the Spirit Rush still comes down, but he's hit by the Arrow Knight. Gonna lock that one down. Delight cannot do anything about it. And they lose two. They'll lose the Drake at the same time. HLE are flailing.
Even more control by BLG. Another Ash Arrow by Elk. They are far ahead here in the game 3. And Atlas, this is also the second game in a row they've kind of put Doran in the dirt, which has got to be concerning for HLE. Last year on Gen G, Doran could not match Bin in that best of 5, and I'd say these last 2 games have been a bit of a disaster.
Yeah, I think that there's just something there. I don't think Doran can really figure it out against this guy. Bin just has extra confidence against this player, as now they've started off the Baron down to 50%, as now Viper is starting this off. Let's see what they can actually get done here. Has Bin once again back to that Mega Nard. The Counter-Strike might be able to get something done, but no, he's just pushed away. And BLG, this phalanx that they can put together is brilliant.
TP coming in though from Zeka, so they're able to push BLG up top, move over towards this mid lane turret. So not only do they deny the Baron, you're getting a little bit back here for Hanwha.
Yeah, it might be a little bit of an opportunity here, as some local gold from this turret as well is going to be helping out, opening up the map as well for them, and some bounties going to be layered on. So down to about a 3,000 gold advantage. We're going to have a look at this one more time around this dragon.
And this is where it's just very difficult because
never mind. There's another battle coming on through here as the arrow is going to connect as Peanut spell shields it because he wants to kill a blue buff and he will not be delayed.
Extra quick as well, thanks to the attack
100%,
speed.
yeah. Extraordinarily important. The arrow misses this time and it's the least impactful.
I do want to say though, like the way BLG are playing around Elk is really good because he is so vulnerable in this game. And we actually haven't got to see that because every time he's pushing it midway for objectives, he has help. He has someone to protect him, and now on trying to play security guard for Knight on the top side.
Yep. As well as BLG has played and as far behind as Doran is, I'm looking at Zeri and I'm seeing 3 completed items.
Yeah,
and I'm looking at the nameplate and it says Viper. So those 2 things together make me think HLE still have a chance.
We'll just have to see because we haven't certified a Zeri moment just yet. He's 1, 3, and 4 right now, not necessarily running away with the game. But you're right, Viper has certainly performed some miracles himself. We were all there in 2021 where he made that run 5 games all the way towards the grand final, being able to take down an incredibly in-form D+ Kia.
I think the hard part for Hanwha, though, is trying to get control for Viper in a fight. Bane has control side, Knight does as well, so you're going to be late to objective setups by default. And then you are going to have Bane who has his flash up, Shun flash up, Knight flash up, On flash up. There are so many people that are diving on towards Viper, so he has to play this clutch. Now, he does have his summoner spells available, but this needs to be superb from Viper.
Well, there's a point-blank charm going to connect onto Shun. He's going to take that as an invitation for more Biffo, but they're not going to actually commit to anything.
And it's also Zeka, or it's also Zeri without an enchanter, which is going to be inherently a little bit less powerful. So still a very powerful position for BLG to be in the game. Not to mention the 2 Mountain Drakes already with kind of the bruiser front line they have, just giving them so much additional durability when you already have an Ahri team already being a little bit low in damage, and then because the Jax is a full item behind, there's just not very many people to actually get BLG low so that Viper can clean up.
Sorry, I'm just laughing at Odd. Like he just likes to bluff. It's like, I swear Knight is still behind me as Knight starts to show him midway. He's like, never mind, I'm gonna get out of here.
He's on the perfect walking ward champion as well though, as Rakan can basically get out of anything kind of for free.
I mean, it's one of the champions he made his name on, right? It was Rakan and Renata that he was really renowned for. Why he became known as the handsome support for his handsome plays in the LPL. And it was a lot of it was on things like the Rakan, which very fitting for that type of nickname.
Yeah, I'd say fitting for this matchup as well, as that was where Delight made his name as well. Even when he was a bro back in the day, still was certainly celebrated for that champion. Less so these days, as the Alistair and the Rel have certainly been more his calling cards on HLE. Not so far this game, though. This Rel has not been able to find quite the things that he's wanted to get going. Zeka finding a little bit here. Does have 3 items now completed. Void Staff done as well. Trying his best to do damage.
Absolutely, and it's going to be soul point here. HLE had 5 people grouped on mid lane very briefly to be able to get mid prio, but they haven't been able to hold priority on any of the side lanes. This is actually a nice timing right now because the wave that Knight pushed in top doesn't matter that much aside from the lost gold, and at least HLE can clear the vision. because if they get the right pocket of vision with which they can Nocturne ult and one-shot Elk with, that could be a way for them to prevent this Soul going over.
And again, this is what I was talking about. Knight supporting Elk on mid push. They're never leaving Elk alone, giving that opportunity. Now BLG are in position to just sit around Elk and just play this pocket of protection.
Yeah, and they are just walking in with so much confidence. This is the way that BLG were moving in their domestic playoffs, right? It was just, we want this. We're just going to all move in. We are ready for a fight, and they are once again set up immediately.
Zeka lost ult there for basically nothing. Knight stole his ult, so they're panicking.
Yeah, they look for the backline. They dive onto where the money is, but that hop was gorgeous from Bin, and everyone else piles on to make sure that he's okay. He does lose a lot of his health bar, but he's still alive. Teleport at the ready as Doran diving on forward, doesn't find an engage angle. As they're looking to try and take down this dragon. This is so dangerous. Bin is only a matter of time to get back here. Shun not going to be able to steal it, but it's Viper that somehow takes the dragon. Doran flashes away, but the chains will meet him, and now Knight has them exactly where he wants them, going 1 versus 2, and he likes those odds. As it's Delight that's on the ground. Peanut now trying to walk away, gets the fear of Zeka. Not going to be able to do enough. They're underneath in a turret, and they're still destroying them.
Night 9 was in the name because it's 999 on the Rift right now. An incredible performance from the BLG mid laner. This guy is having a pop-off on the Sylas.
That is likely going to mean Baron as well for BLG. They didn't get the Soul, which could still be important later, but that whole sequence to me was one in the setup by BLG. They got the Ahri ultimate early, and then because BLG tried, because HLE tried so desperately to get on Bin, that was really their last chance. They were never going to win a straight-up 5v fight without the Ahri ult against a level 16 Sylas, and we saw the conclusion of the fight when they did actually fight.
And when we get into this replay, I want you to watch on the ult, flash, and the grand entrance to give the hop to Bin to get him over this wall. Watch here as he comes in. So everyone jumps in, goes over the wall, gets the hop for Bin, and then gets the grand entrance back out with that charm onto everyone. And that's what buys that space for Bin to get the reset off. And then Knight uses the cover of everyone jumping up towards the top side to sneak in behind. Delight is trying to mark jump, but as he goes on towards Knight, everyone jumps onto Doran. So it's a fight on 2 fronts now, which is perfect for champions like Sylas and for Wukong. But the fight.
Yeah, Arrow going to connect here from Peanut, who spell shields it very, very nicely. Still HLE. I mean, yes, they survive, but they're pushed away from their own jungle, not able to get that money, and everything is going wrong as we move towards the late game.
There's just no way for Doran to get gold at this stage in the game because the Baron push is going to be so fast that he needs to group with the team. Bin doesn't need to group because his team is much stronger. He can continue getting more and more head off the side lane. So HLE is just desperately hoping that either Delight gets the absolute god tier engage or the BLG overcommits somewhere.
And you've got to do something very quickly because Bin is now in this mid lane. BLG starting to support him. He's about to turn Mendingar, which gives him an opportunity to actually take pop shots at this turret. Elk sitting topside again. The ultimate is available. Can Peanut block it a second time?
Yep, 2-level advantage as well as far as those top laners, so nothing that Doran can really do. But that's been the story of the majority of this game. Knight steals away the paranoia as well. That might be able to get them a little bit more of an advantage. Looking towards Doran perhaps, does manage to get a bit of damage down onto Shun, but he's not too worried about it as this Wukong. Orb of Deception doing some damage onto Elk, as you can see there, but HLE, it's just scraps that they're able to pick up right now as Delight going to be allowed to set up some sort of trap as another minion wave. Conga lines in, and BLG, this is as by the book as it gets, but it looks like no way in for HLE at all.
And this is what they look like domestically. Super strong solo laners, the pick from Elk.
Yeah, Arrow is going to be at least buffered there by Zeka. Paranoia does come down. Knight utilizing that one, has a hijack immediately. Well, almost immediately. Level 18 Sylas just barely has a cooldown on that one, so we'll see what he's going to be picking up next.
Yeah, it looks like they're going to reset and then set up around Soul, unless...
the interruption on even the empowered recall. That is going to be Elk going down, and maybe HLE buying some space here. As, yeah, that was the ward that was put down by Delight earlier on. And BLG, they lose their AD carry 1 minute before this dragon. Not a whole lot to fight around, though, for HLE.
And that's the heartbreaking thing for Hanwha. Yes, they can get these waves pushed out, but it doesn't really net them an objective on the map. Elk, should be back up and available as it comes through. On, though, is moving in towards this bot side, just setting up this vision already for Dragon. Hanwha kind of need to brute force their way down mid lane, push back BLG, see if they continue the pressure on the map in that darkness to find more picks and push BLG back further. But you can see Bin super strong, pushes in bot side already.
Yep. Such a tight flash timer on Elk as well. That's why he has the Seeker's Arm Guard in his inventory right now. BLG, I think, just need this soul fight to close the game. They are stronger at the moment. Silas, level 18, with the ultimates that he can choose from, is just devastating. The only thing they have to worry about a little bit, I'd say, is Elk getting picked off in one shot, because then the damage might be low enough. But the time it takes for HLE to actually kill the Gnar and the Wukong seems to be just too high.
These item spikes are absurd as well. You got a Death Cap coming in from Knight. You've also got a Seeker's Arm Guard just casually there for Elk as well. So if they do dive on top of him again, he can go golden. Has a bit of an answer here as now Peanut going to get stunned up here from Knight. This is a little bit too far forward. Does get the shield is on. Looks to try and buy some space. Peanut may have baited it though as the ulti comes through from Viper. They take down the Nocturne and now it's Zeka that's the target. Delight just trying to play Peel. Viper still alive for the moment. The arrow going to be tanked by Delight and Viper will just get smacked down in the team by Knight. Will be able to get another Spirit Rush as Doran doing his best to try and play 1 versus 3, but it's not going to be enough. Or at least he's going to buy a little bit of space, but then the chain's going to catch him. And 3 left for BLG. That's going to be an ace, and they might be able to just walk down the bottom lane.
Doran desperately tried to keep the game alive there, but he couldn't get enough gold in his back pocket. And BLG are marching down on bot side, taking the red side game for themselves.
10 seconds on Peanut. He might be able to clear the wave. I think this is going to be it, though, for BLG.
This is a dangerous one. Knight has so much damage. Now that Death Cap's come in, the AP going to be obliterating these Nexus turrets. The Nexus will be exposed.
They got it.
He makes them nearsighted, but the Nexus, it's right next to them, and they'll be able to take it down. Match point for BLG.
BLG might be nearsighted, but their sights are only on semi-finals in this series. They see themselves 1 game away from history repeating from 2023.
Shun wants to beat Peanut again. Bin wants to beat Doran again, and they are 1 game away from accomplishing that feat.
I'm feeling some pretty crazy deja vu, man. I was home last time, and this time I'm in Paris, so I know it's a different thing, but the story is feeling dangerously similar. We'll see whether Hanwha Live can turn that one around. We are going to go to a short break. When we get back, game number 4, and then hopefully some silver scrapes. Fingers crossed. Everyone, please.
You wish. In the dojo. You want to head high? In the dojo.
Red Bull gives you wings.
Hit the ground, I'm on code. Run on air when I flow. You would swear that I flowed. Hottest hand in my zone. I'm going hard for my city, yeah. I put that thing on my back. Get it and gun it, I'm back on 100. I'm ready, I'm coming in for the attack. I'm on beast mode, God level, cheat code, new age, hero, good verse, Evo. I'm on the move, I'm on the move. I'm putting in work, I go berserk, got something to prove. Cause I got power, I got the energy for all of my enemies. I'm on the way, saving the day, no one ahead of me. I'm on the, right here, right now. This is the moment we running it. This is the moment we running it. We doing this for the love of it. Give me your fire lives in my soul. It drives me to my goal. There's no distance I won't go. Cause the climb's all that I know. And I face it all on my own. So my name will be known. Yeah, my name will be known. Right here, right now. This is the moment we running it. This is the moment we running it. We doing this for the love of it. Give me your
for another one here as On is going to look to turn this one around. There's the paranoia diving right in on top. As can they actually get a first blow? Goes over to second the extendo beam. It is able to be picked up as Arrow going to connect. And the immediate collapse comes down to light. Just didn't know what hit him. Now that Navar is looking brilliant. And Spirit Rush still comes down, but he's hit by the Arrow Knight. Gonna lock that one down. And Viper will just get smacked down in the team by Knight. And 3 left for BLG. That's gonna be an ace. And they might be able to just walk down the bottom lane.
Does that smile not light up your entire life? Not you, Maurits. I'm asking
I'm already having a tough time as is. We don't need to single me out, Avia.
I gotta say, yeah,
he had
it
a great
is
game.
nice. Yeah,
he had a great game.
What about his smile though?
And they won on red side.
What about
right?
his smile though?
His smile was great too.
Okay, nice.
Very cute.
All right, I just want to get that out there. Also, kind of the release, I guess, and also the fact that probably that you have the confidence that also on the red side you can pull this off. Or do we think there was a little bit of draft tinting on the other side?
Yeah. So, do we want to get into it right from the get-go?
We can do it later also, but you can do it now.
Because I do think that just reducing it down to draft is going to not do justice to what BLG has been able to do.
Yeah.
So
we'll come back to it.
Yeah, BLG's team fighting specifically is something that even in the game that they won in game number 2 looked a little bit shaky, right? Because Humble Life was actually able to kind of pull back. And in this game 3, we saw none of that.
Well, it started though. It looked great for HLE, right? Like we were talking about topside and how it got attacked over and over and over again. And First Blood actually came for HLE setting up the Ahri. And in our, right here, we see this coming out. And this is exactly what they want to do with both Zeka and Peanut. This is Peanut's first ult, I believe, and it sets them up.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this was a great start from HLE, but one of the big differences, because this felt very reminiscent, I think, to game number 1. One of the big differences between game number 1 and game number 3 was the fact that BLG drafted a lot more ways to start fights. They were way more proactive. In game 1, I felt like they sat back and waited for HLE to make a mistake that they were hoping they could capitalize on. HLE never gave it to him. This game, I felt like BLG just took the game by the throat. They took control of it. They were playing aggressive. They were playing with confidence, and that's what you want to see from your number 1 seed.
Yeah, I also like that as you refer back to that first game, that even here, right, even though the first blood goes over, and in the beginning we were saying, ooh, it looks like BLG might end up being late to the objectives a lot again. That is what happened in game 1, but they course-corrected in that game immediately, and I was pretty impressed by that.
Really was, and particularly the synergy between On, who I think had a rough Swiss, but has really stepped it up thus far, and Shun was so big. That Rakan and Wukong combination was lethal.
Yeah, we also have a bit of a role of the Ash Arrows because they were beautiful, and thanks to the reliable Cisco network, Alk able to initiate time after time after time. Azael, I know you were definitely calling this out. There's one later in the bot lane that was sick, but so are these.
Yeah, I think this was actually from the previous game, unfortunately, but it was obviously pretty incredible how many Ash Arrows he was able to hit.
It was just a tease,
He was smurfing, I feel like, on this. Had some really long-range ones. The one that they saw in the roll into the play on the rel down on bot lane, got them a pick there. He had some really good ones as well, catching Zeka out and putting him in difficult situations. And it just felt like he was such a key component to this game. And it's not an easy game to play as Ashe because there's so much dive on the other side. This is the arrow that we were talking about, catching out Rel on the other side. Delight is trying to posture forward to get the charge on the tier 2. They hit the Ashe arrow. It's an immediate pounce from BLG. They jump forward, they get the first kill, and then the teleport comes through. Everyone from BLG arrives to run over the fight.
And you mentioned how difficult it is to play Ashe. He really has to be on point and have the synergy, like you pointed out, Chronicler with Shun and On in particular. But he was getting so many key hits on target, so it became so much more difficult for HLE to start fights on their terms.
Not to mention for the Zeri, it was not a good time. And I think that is where, after this graphic, we can kind of parlay this into a bigger draft discussion, because this does mean that HLE, despite being on the blue side, is up against match point. And those memories from last year, they are creeping back in, right? So what is the strat here?
Well, if we can pull up the drafts, because I think particularly in this final game...
Oh, is this it?
As I was saying, I think if we look at specifically the ability of BLG to completely neutralize Viper, because I don't think Zeka has been having the performance of really that we are expected of him coming in. Because you get the Ashe, he gets a huge power pick here, and simultaneously, Viper ends up going towards the Zeri, which just doesn't feel that strong. He didn't get to play the game, and I think they need to make sure that who I think is their best performing player gets a good pick early on.
Well, it's also one of my concerns coming into this series is that it's like Zeka got a lot of Yone earlier in Worlds. He wasn't going to get it clearly coming into this series, so he needs to be able to find those other picks that he can perform at the top level on.
Yeah, and my other thing is this champion here now has a 0. I'm circling the Ahri. Sorry,
I see. We see it.
I should be tighter on my circles here. But 100% loss rate.
Yeah.
Right. So they've tried to find answers. They brought out the Knock Ori combo, prioritized the Jax as their first pick, which is actually what allowed, to Chronicler's point, the Sylas and the Ashe to come through on the red side. I think Ahri is very strong. I also think these two players in particular are very comfortable with the champion, but it has not been working for what the answers we've seen from the other compositions.
And I want everyone to cast your mind back. 2021, Viper was down 2-1 to Dumb1 Gaming, came back to win the series. 2022, Zeka against T1, down 2-1 to win the series. And just a couple of months ago in summer, Humble Life was down 2-1 against Gen.G, and they are your number 1 seed. And I hope that they don't get knocked out, and that they just do it again.
Peanut and Doran were down 0-2 last year versus BLG.
Yeah,
what
they
happened?
were. They got back to 2-2. That part was great. So we're going to go to game 5, surely.
So what do you want to see from them then? What's the adjustment here from Zeka? What's the draft?
For Zeka, honestly, I think they will be on blue side again. Getting him that Sylas again, if there's an opportunity, is 100% my main prio. I think we drop the Nocturne, give Peanut something that he can have more impact on. He also hasn't really gone back to his Maokai yet. If the Sylas is a prio pick, I understand. But if you get it yourself, 100%, the amount of control that he has, and with how dive heavy this series has been, him going back to something like that comfort could be huge.
Yeah, regardless of our joking around here, this is a very serious matter, specifically for Pina, for Doran, for all of HLE, the first seed coming out of the LCK, and BLG, who find themselves again on a match point. Is this the end?
It might be.
Yeah, it certainly could. I didn't know that was the throw, so I got a little bit confused. But that's absolutely fine because, the 2-1, that's given me hope. And I'm so thankful to you, Chronicler. Thank you for that, because we've made this point so many times that actually being up 2-1 in a series is a trap. It's bait because you often just lose. That has been the case in the LCK. This is a very different story. But here, in our Champ Select, powered by Omen and HyperX, this is where the things really need to change. Because, man, just what was your line, Jat, from just like 2 minutes earlier?
Just pick the Sylas. Just pick it, man. It's so strong. It was available. They can just ban the same things they did last game. We have the same sides. There's no onus for BLG to shift. They have switched out their third ban by Ash, but I think they're just going to pick the Sylas.
Yeah, I think the thing is, though, it's like you're more than likely going to see the Ezreal ban coming through here again, because I think BLG have correctly identified as the series went on. Hey, look, Viper being on something where he can self-peel, not so hot. Getting the opportunity to take the Xayah Rakan away as well makes Viper way less able to play into a lot of these matchups and have that safe peel. So early Rakan pick on this red side, more than likely going to be Sejuani. I thought this would be a ban coming into today, but as this meta has shifted through the series, I'm surprised to see that come through.
And it's only Shun that's played it so far. There's the side. Thank you, Jad. Obviously, they were listening, and, well, they weren't, because they came up with this in game number 1.
Yep.
You can tell I'm a little bit bothered by how things have gone thus far. However, back on track here, could have an honest game of League of Legends, is now maybe something about this Sejuani ban is going to be given away here with these first couple of picks.
But the question is, do you still prioritize? Okay, there the Jax, coming through, even though Sejuani's now taken away, could immediately, go towards the Rakan. This is what I was saying. I think they've really identified that this is such a crucial pick.
Isn't there a Yordle with a hammer that's pretty good, though? Wait a second. We kind of forgot about that, right, for the last couple of games. Of course, game number 2, it was banned. And we're just going to have a look at what the next one is going to be. Of course, Rumble into Jax. You know, you can't counter-strike a Flame Spitter, so I guess that's a theory. But the Nara has been so incredibly strong. And this is the first 3 picks that they went in with game number 1. And round of applause.
Yeah, I'm giving this a clap for HLE. Go back to what gave them the first win in the series in game 1. They had the blue side because they had choice from losing the last game. We'll see if BLG has something better to counter it. They're probably just pairing the Xayah with the Rakan, but at the time, HLE has so many ways of going in and out. Let's see what Elko sees. So it's actually Kai'Sa Rakan here.
Wow.
For more ability to go in.
And Kai'Sa is being banned in the second round. Every single time she's left up is what it feels like, unless it's sort of picked up by Viper, where he did manage to have some heroics, although it wasn't quite enough. So going to be locking that one away, and then they're able to get rid of the Ezreal, things like this. Although it's kind of weird, because it feels like Kai'Sa is a decent matchup into the Ezreal just generally, but it's Viper and Ezreal, and the rest of his team want to run away from him, so it makes sense.
I think it's just, again, getting rid of that safety, but I'm curious what Knight decides to go with in this mid lane now, because you don't want to go, I was like, oh, maybe you go LeBlanc, but Poppy exists. You maybe even shift back over towards something like an AD carry, honestly, for Knight in this mid lane. You've already got some AP damage from both the Jax and this Kai'Sa. Maybe even Shun going towards something that's a bit more AP focused in the jungle, but I think you need something that's a little bit different than Ahri.
Something like Orianna could also work.
True.
Knight's been a great Orianna in the past. It's a little bit low mobility for how rapid these games felt.
And then you can use the Nocturne Orianna combo, but with the Kai'Sa instead, right? You just dive bomb the Kai'Sa into the back line.
Nocturne Orianna.
That's true, actually. They decided not to ban the Nocturne. I just expected that fire was going to be a Nocturne, but it's not actually the case.
The thing is as well, Poppy can still go bot. It's a decent matchup in Rakan as well. So Peanut could even end up taking away the Nocturne here. So if they show the Nocturne, more than likely that combo that we're going to see come through. But you have to take the Nocturne portion forward first, or else Peanut just takes the other side.
Well, the Kindred for Shun. He's hovering it for now. Oh my, okay.
It's in.
That's a Kindred.
So this is what I thought we might get with Shun coming back in overweight. He is the Kindred guy, he is the Nidalee guy, he's the guy that you can look to try and play around. But you are now giving those spells across to
there's going to be a lot of Lancer Spites circles
Good
all
luck on
over
the
the place.
play-by-plays,
Yeah,
Max.
I'll see what I can do.
Yeah, and the Poppy to just kind of knock everyone out of those circles. So big circles into the Venn diagram of swoop them on out of there is going to be very interesting to watch. So I think BLG are drafting a little bit into the hands of this Silas, but it's comfort galore for them.
That's another circle. That's a real scary circle as the Galio heroically grand entrances up and available here for BLG. You love to see it. It's a tried and true combo that we've seen many, many times in the past. I feel like you could have shown me this draft like 4 years ago, make that 6 years ago, and I'd be like, oh yes, no, very strong.
Yeah, very, very meta. But really, I am excited for this game. I favor HLE's draft because I think the Silas can still have a strong laning phase against the Galio, even though Galio Kindred or Galio Jax is really strong. Just the fact that you have Poppy to blast people away, that you have Silas to steal ultimates and kind of do the same thing whenever he wants to, and you have the Gnar that's been unstoppable pretty much this entire series. It makes me think our chances of a Game 5 are higher than the chances of a BLG 3-1.
This game relies on Shun getting ahead early. If you can invade him as Kindred, if you can get those stacks, if you can shove Peanut out of the game, you can have that chance to just take over on the Kindred. Having double AD carries is fantastic because you can realistically only hit one of them. But can you do that? Can you get that play from Knight to support you? Can On leave bot side to help you on these invades? This is not a style that BLG have played for the majority of their summer because Way was support the lanes. This is now transitioning to support the jungler, a style that they did play last year, but Knight wasn't on the roster.
The thing I do really like about it for BLG, though, is that they're playing to the series. And the series is whoever can win these mid to late game team fights is in the best position. We've seen it even as early as the first grub fight, really getting these advantages. And as we dive onto the rift for game match point here for BLG, game 4. HLE once again on the blue side. Jack, you might get your wish. It might need to be 2 wins on red.
I want to see 5 games in so many ways. For HLE here, the #1 seed of the LCK. I will say, though, for most of the year, considered the #2 team in the LCK. It was a surprise that they were able to defeat Gen G to get that #1 seed, but either one of these teams going home in quarterfinals is a massive disappointment compared to their expectations, and especially for HLE. I know we've hit it many times, but it is probably in the front of Doran and Peanut's mind, and they're attempting to push it to the back of their minds that it could just be another Worlds failure. It could be another loss to BLG.
But it's insane that it's one of these top seeds from LCK and LPL going home today. Because on the opposite side for BLG, like, they bought Knight, the kingmaker in the LPL. 6 of the last finals he was in. 4 of the last finals he has won. And he has been the difference maker for these squads he has entertained. BLG brought him across to take over from JDG, be the top team in the LPL, and they succeeded domestically. But MSI, they dropped short. It looked like in Swiss they were going to drop short. But a win here today would firmly put them as BLG are back.
It just gets them completely back on track. It would make them 2 series away from a world championship. Everything is just go right ahead.
Yeah, and also after winning the last 6 games in a row against Weibo, I don't think they're worried about a semifinal. And I don't know whether HLE can say the same thing, right? Like, Weibo can throw some curveballs. This is a dangerous team, but it looks like BLG, in the playoffs especially, had been able to find their angles. So I could imagine that they'd feel like winning this is basically everything towards getting another finals berth here for the squad. See what what they're able to make happen. Has been underneath the turret. We've got another lane swap coming on through here. Just a little bit of trivia for you. Shun is pretty good at Kindred, currently on a 69% win rate over 49 games. It's a lot of games.
It's another one of these kind of weird lane swaps, though. Bin's still level 1. They might be able to get this dive in fast before he can... He's saving his Counter-Strike.
Yeah, On making his way in. It's going to be a decent Counter-Strike usage, but they do manage to break away. There's the flash heroic charge as Peanut
it's tough.
Gonna have to get himself out of there, as I think that this is going to be too much. Viper tanking up the turret, and the turret is getting real angry. Bin just getting experience as this is going. And can they actually make this one happen? Mega Gnar is coming on in relatively soon. Another Counter-Strike comes down. They get out of the way as Doran about to hit Mega. Can they get it? There's first blood going over to Viper. The knockup comes in and Doran survives.
Barely Hanwha are able to make that work, but crucially, they make that work? Bin will fall. The tower plates will go over. The interrupt comes through from On just to try and stop Doran getting to that wave on the top side so he can't TP to collect that. So actually a good move from On to deny that from Doran.
It is. I don't even know if that's considered a big success for HLE to just get the 1 kill. Yes, they get some plates, but Elk is level 4. He's crashing yet another wave of just missed experience on that top side. Doran's going to be behind Bin in experience as well. That was such a heroic defense there by BLG, and now Doran, who's been really far behind the last 2 games, is in a little bit of a deficit to start this one.
And this is why I love the adaptation from On. He's been taking heal into these lanes where they are opting into the swaps because he knows, hey, all I need to do is try and keep Bin alive as long as possible. Now, he does end up going down, but that heal was crucial to that first dive not working out. On then flashing for the interrupt. Doran then has to TP to that bottom side, so he gets the wave, but Viper is massively far behind now as a result of that flash auto interrupt.
And the other thing about the importance of the Kindred in this game, Peanut spent 45 seconds diving a turret. Shun was killing camps.
Yeah.
So he's absolutely off to the races on this Kindred.
Feeling very, very good about it. And as the dust settles, I mean, the gold, that's going to be there for HLE, but what it means for the rest of the game is what we're going to have to bear in mind. And I think we need to do a little bit of a Sylas inventory to see what kind of ultimates he has up and available. I seem to remember quickness being pretty good for Sylas in the past, certainly a favorite, but the heroic entrance as well could be a huge one for delivering Zeka into these fights and being able to match Knight and the extra mobility around the map that a Galio does have.
And that's why I'd actually opt in towards the heroic entrance over the likes of, say, Kindred ult, right? Because Kindred ult will go down, but having that everyone pile on in, you want a double Galio ult to basically match what Knight is going to try and achieve there with it. So I think that's where having this Sylas is going to be crucial for Zeka. But already, we're swapping the map on WAP, getting some turret plates back for Viper is very nice, especially when he's already picked up a nice little bit of a lead for himself, thanks to that early kill.
Yep, and we do have to say as well that Zeka in a melee matchup, as this Sylas as well, like you're favored in a matchup against the Galio, and so he could be really accelerated in this game. We'll see what BLG are going to be able to do about that, as the Grand Entrance is going to connect onto Viper, but the Counter-Strike not quite so good, as Knight and Shun trying to get something done here onto Zeka in this mid lane. Fair bit of extra damage, but the slow is good. Shun going to have to back away.
Pretty free timing on that gank by Kindred. He had the tempo to be able to pull that off, and he's just getting the Sylas a little bit low. They know he's already teleported back, so he's not going to have time to take a recall before the grubs. That might just be the ticket to let them have this objective, just getting free damage on Peanut as well.
Yeah, it's a flash in, as unfortunately you can't dance of arrows, but there's the heroic entrance from Zeka. He's like, I'm here, and Peanut is going to live. More fighting here towards this bottom side of the map, as Doran's going to have to get out of there, but the grubs should belong to BLG after all that.
Yeah, Elk hit level 6 in the bot lane, so basically did what you do to an Ezreal. Land that Void Seeker, immediately ult in, end up nearly killing off Doran, but then a good response from Zeka to cover that play on the top side. It means that Shun as well still hasn't picked up a mark. Mark was on the first Scuttle Crab on the bot side, he's now on another Scuttle Crab on that bot end of the map, so he should be able to run down and pick this one up, but reset's coming through from BLG, and I don't think Peanut wants to let him have it.
Yeah, Peanut has
been a little devil here.
Over, yeah.
Yeah, he's played against Pioshik a lot.
Is he going to get himself
so
killed?
He does know about this. Shun is going to move in though. Now On going to try and make his way out. It is going to be Peanut. Should be able to lock this one down, and he does. So denies another mark there. Not end of the world or anything like that. Of course, it is very nice to have quite a few of these marks, and accelerating towards 4 marks is, of course, exactly what you want to do. But it's not end of the world.
Yeah, the added range is going to be incredibly nice, especially with all the circles. Being able to auto-attack outside of some of the circles is big. But the sequence we just saw, I think, was actually attached to the sequence we saw right at the start of the game, where HLE had a gold lead, but we were saying BLG had experience advantages and tempo advantages, and they just cashed some of it in there by being able to get level 6 first in the bot lane, and Bin
Doran
trying to cash in more.
Yeah, in a little bit of trouble. However, he does get to his turret. Elk is now the one that's having some issues here towards this bottom side. Barrier doing a fair bit of work there. Sorry, the Guardian Shield doing a bit of work there.
We already saw Zeus in this matchup, though, be on the business end of when Bin starts to get leads like this. So Doran does need to be exceptionally careful. Didn't have the level 6 hit, and now is sitting a full level behind Bin, who's just going to keep this pressure up. He's going to start to whack away in this turret, as Elk should just be able to farm out this wave. Still, though, Viper, sitting about 600 gold lead, he should be able to back away and get a nice few items for himself. And I think that's where you're going to be looking as the difference maker for HLE. Can Viper get a good ultimate that just swings this game back in favor of the LCK first seed?
Yep, Viper, of course, being able to grab a couple of plates so far in this game. And with that advantage being on a misfortune as well, does mean that you've got a bunch of extra early game power hitting so much harder on these single items, 2 items. Should be able to help them find some battles in this early to mid game they weren't able to find in the last few games. Still, this game certainly slowing down. 500 gold the lead for HLE, but it means basically 0. And Bin versus Doran here on this top side of the map, still something that if you are an LCK fan, does make you feel very, very wary, as on taking damage continually here in this bottom lane.
But at least for now, Doran's holding his own into the Jax. He avoided the solo kill early. They did manage to actually kill him at the very end of their early dive. And as long as he doesn't overextend, the Kindred's not an incredibly potent ganker.
Oh dear, going to get Doran out of there.
He found him. Now it just buys the team time knowing that he's on the other side of the map.
Well, I think it was also to poke his head in for the Scuttle Crab respawn. Again, just contest those marks that are coming through from the Kindred. So getting the vision, getting the push here from Peanut, just to make sure that they can take it right as it spawns. And I think, Shun, you have Knight at least pushing in mid, but they would love for Jax to come across for this.
Yeah, Bin now just going to try and turn this one onto a Mega Gnar as Doran just smacks him against the wall, knows that he's not going to be able to fight this. Bin just going to be distracted by the wave for the moment.
Oh, it's a trap. It's a crab trap.
Yeah, Knight is going to come on through. Peanut is able to lock down the crab, and now Zeka looking to try and push them out of there. Shun trying to aim those arrows. Zeker's able to slow him down.
Pretty interesting there. I couldn't quite tell, but I'm pretty sure Knight was sitting on the control ward waiting for Shun because they wanted to kill Peanut, but Peanut just got the Scuttle Crab. But if Knight would have gone on him right away, he probably could have prevented it, and that's really what Shun would have wanted because he's still denied his first mark 10.5 minutes into the game.
That is an incredibly fast Yordle. With the amount of armor that she's wearing, I'm surprised she can move that fast, but it does work out, and he's just able to step on out. And it means now, again, denied the opportunity to get those marks up. You want to try and play on towards this bottom side as well with Dragon Up available, it looks like, for BLG, just the way that they've set up, but this also then gives a bit more pressure towards Hanwha on towards the Void Grubs. But BLG just happy to go for a trade on the map state right now.
Yep, looking for the Dragon in trade for the Grubs. We've seen this one agreed upon many, many times. And so BLG being able to pick up the first 3 as well means that it's only going to be an evened out Grub situation. And for the first time, we have no Void Mites, which is a bit sad because they're very cute.
It does mean that Zeka can't really approach this wave because Shun is already hooshing over. Hanwha trying to deny the dive from BLG in the bottom lane. With that push in mid, Knight can always join with the ultimate though, so this is very risky for Hanwha, but Zeka should be able to clear out the wave.
Yep, he is going to be able to steal away a quickness here as well. Definitely one of the more valuable in some of these skirmishes. Zeka able to rotate his way over for that mid lane once again. So Knight pushing on in. We'll be able to get that one to crash. Peanut is going to turn up as well. He's going to be able to hold that wave so that Zeka can get over and get all of the money and experience.
Yeah, currently a big fan of the way HLE has played this early game. Yes, they're down 1 early Drake, but I think the biggest problems in games 2 and 3 was Bin pulling ahead of Doran. Hasn't happened as of yet. Viper also a little bit off to the races. He's been shut down in the last 2 games. And of course, Zeka's just on Silas, maybe looking to make a play.
Oh yeah, the quickness looking to try and catch Shun here, as you can see. Level 8, so does have that Lamb's Respite available, but doesn't have to use it, just going to wander away.
It's Scuttle Scraps again, though. They want to try and move down into this bot side river, and that's why you saw Shun and Knight playing hyper aggressive, seeing if they can maybe push Peanut out, get some damage onto him. But now, with Elk pushing out that wave in bot, he needs to reset, whereas you don't have that problem here for Hanwha. So I think they should just deny more of those marks away from Shun, and this Kindred hasn't worked out for them thus far.
Yeah, he is, you know how I said it's not that bad at the beginning? It's starting to get bad. It's like bad. This is not good. We're going to go towards the negatives here. Still, it's going to remain on those Rift Scholars, so maybe one of them is able to pick up. Bottom side of the map is where the next one is. Knight on, moving up towards his top side of the map as Doran needs to build up that Naba. Peanut just wants to evict someone, and he is going to be able to do so. On going to be taking a little bit of a journey away, and Zeka's teleport will mean that the play does not work. However, they did have to invest that summoner spell.
They got to the bot side, though. They were looking at a potential TP in here behind Hanwha.
There's the TP!
Yeah, TP is going to come on through, and remember, Zeka does not have his. Doran doesn't have his. And I don't think Viper's going to be escaping this one. 3 versus 2. Delight just, yeah, he's getting out of there. Viper knows that he's the tastier target, so they're only going to lose that one.
And the Scuttle Crab is still there. Shun will manage to get one for himself.
There it is, the first mark to go down for Shun. Is Kindred finally going to be able to start building things up. Doesn't need a little bit more, but there we go. Gorgeous.
3 more until it matters. Woo! Let's go. I will say, though, a nice sequence of play there. HLE thought they had a nice map play when Peanut was able to reject the dive and they could get the first turret of the game. But the ward comes in extremely clutch there, and I think it was a really nice play by BLG to teleport down and get the counter kill.
Yeah, first turret for 1 kill, though. Still probably okay for HLE as far as money is concerned. But being able to take Viper off the map for a bit certainly did help out for the tempo.
Yeah, and I think this is where they're going to unlock now. Bane again moving up towards this top side. Rift Tower is up and available, and you could potentially fight this with Static Shiv available, but it's still a risky play for BLG. You can see the Doran's on the bottom side, still no TP, so I think BLG trying to rush this with 5-man advantage.
See what they can get done here as Peanut on the blue buff right now wants to finish that one off before they do start trying to contest. It looks like contesting isn't actually on their mind, though. Zeka looking for that flank angle. The Rift Herald is going to be taken. And as we get the lane economy snapshot, it's Shun, the only one with any sort of gold advantage. It's that bottom side of the map where so much of that money has been made.
Yeah, that was a bit of a fake contest from HLE, trying to make BLG maybe peel off of it or try to burn a few cooldowns because Doran was getting so much free time on the bot side. And I do think it's a bit of a side quest this game to make sure Jax doesn't get too far ahead of the Nara. So I'm actually totally fine with HLE taking that trade if it means Doran can get free gold.
Shun going to be spotted here as Peanut is going to be sweeping out the area.
And for HLE, they kind of now are in a position where they can take the reins a little bit. They're starting to get these big item completions coming through. The first item starting to be done. This is where you're in a position to, hey, Zeka can start threatening these side lanes. You can start looking for plays on towards mid lane as well if Elka's ever left by his lonesome. So it makes things a little bit easier now for Hanwha to open up with Delight and Peanut on the map, which is where they have been most comfortable working through this supporting jungle.
Peanut standing on a ward there, Azon has been pretty good at being able to keep up vision for his team. As Elk losing out on that trade quite considerably, especially with the Void Seeker missing. Another double up going to connect onto this Kai'Sa. Mid lane control, I think, firmly in the hands of Viper right now, and it looks like the last couple of games have made this guy angry.
Absolutely, and another Drake is up in 25 seconds. Viper able to get some damage. Mid lane stack up his Bloodthirster shield, but Bin just free time on this turret up here, and Zeka's matching without teleport, so BLG definitely more well prepared on the map for this Drake.
Yep, Justice Punch going to get Knight into the brush, but Doran not going to be caught napping on that one.
It stops his reset though for Triforce, which is what he was really hoping for. So again, giving more space for BLG to work on this bottom half of the map. Dragon now going to be started by them. Knight is resetting, has the ultimate to get back into place. Actually, going to cancel that reset. So looks like BLG go for Dragon. Hanwha, potential trade for the topside turret here.
Yeah, it looks like Zeka without teleport. They had no intention of actually contesting for that Dragon. So it should be Earth, Wind, and Fire coming on through here as well on the cards for BLG, who have already got those first couple of Dragons.
Peanut thinking of denying that second mark on this top side of the map as well. You can see the Scuttle Crab is there, but here comes the charge.
Yep.
Rift Tower going to take it and open up at least a counter punch for BLG.
Pretty even trade across the board, and I'm just getting nervous at this stage in the game
too.
because of what's at stake for these players. I mean, Peanut's Worlds career has not been nearly as prestigious as his domestic career. Just looking at the LCK, he's been amazing, but he's definitely been labeled as a Worlds choker. I'd say this game, on Poppy, one of his best picks. He's playing great. He's looking comfortable, but the really big high-pressure moments are still yet to come. So just seeing whether or not he can overcome that and make this Game 5 happen against BLG, the team that knocked him, Doran, and Delight out last year.
And it's,
like I said, it's making me nervous.
Yeah, no, it's making me nervous as well, because what's more powerful? The clutch factor of Zeka and Viper, who have been able to win Worlds off the back of just 5-game series over and over again. Both of these players have been able to make that happen. And then Doran and Peanut that haven't been able to pass that test. We'll have to see. This game so far so good. That would get them to a game number 5. Then they'd have to probably win on the red side as well. And I think what we all want is 5 games. That's about it. There's now Peanut going to be diving out. Shun making his way in, going to be able to steal away a red buff. Very nicely done. Was that another mark?
No,
still sitting on 1. So not a great cadence when it comes to marks. 1 every 20 minutes is probably not what you want.
I mean, it's been very unfortunate. The lane swap happened. He doesn't get the mark on top side. And then the mark spawns on bottom side once more, right as you're trying to get out of base. And then every time they've gone for a play on bottom side, it's actually just spawned to the top half of the map on that Scuttle Crab. So he's been very unfortunate with the way this one has gone out. Now you can see it on the Krug there.
Yeah,
but
and I don't think Marks can actually be on red buffs at this
yeah.
point. It's been a while since I've played some Kindred. But it is going to be on that Grump for about 4 seconds until Peanut is going to take it down. So denied once again. Shun does hit level 11 though.
The thing that I've noticed in this series, though, is that BLG have kind of got off to very quick starts and they look great, but Hanwha's team fights have come in clutch and may need it here.
Let's see what can happen as Crashdown just going to get Delight out of there. It looks like they don't want to get anything happening right now as Peanut lurking. More vision going down, as you can see. Both of them getting the information. Shun comes on over. That's going to make sure that BLG have control. And 1 minute away from Baron. Topside vision could certainly be important as Zeka is sweeping things out. Knows that that ward is there, and now looking to try and get under the turret. There's the quickness. It goes down the heroic entrance to come on in, and Zeka with that quickness makes his way to safety, but the turret cannot do that because it can't move.
Yeah, the kill would have been the icing on the cake, but the point of that play for BLG was to actually kill the turret. They had a huge amount of tempo accumulated. They got deep vision in the jungle, and they just collapsed nicely to even that turret score. And I would say that as Delight gets engaged on.
Yeah, that's a grand entrance to come on through. Too many entrances here as the Magnet Storm is going to be the response. Viper, so much damage, and there goes Shun. Where was the respite? Lamb, what happened? Okay, well, that is just going to be a kill. And now Peanut is looking to steal away the enemy jungle at the same time. The smite is going to come through, and now this turret, is it under fire? It looks like BLG are going to be able to take down the minion wave. Good pick for HLE.
Hanwha wanted to go for that play, but you could see Bin was completely missing on that bottom side, so they invest the TP from Doran to get into the play, but I think Shun didn't want to use the Lamb's Respite with that Dragon just coming up in a few minutes' time. Wanted to make sure that at a pre-Dragon fight, he would have that ultimate available, but it's a great pick from Hanwha. The fact that they immediately jump onto him, the CC combo was fantastic, and there's just nowhere for him to escape to.
It is going to be hard for him to actually get that ult off in team fights, though, because Poppy can stun him, and they have so many things they can chain their CC with, especially once damage gets more lethal. But what I was going to say before that fight started is, to me, this series has been BLG stacking tiny advantages through map play, wave management, vision control, and then HLE kind of trying to fight their way out of things.
Yeah.
This game, at least they have that 2,000 gold lead, which is somewhat canceled with the Infernal and the Cloud Drake in terms of who's actually winning the game. So it's going to come down to team fighting, at least on the side of HLE, and making sure they're not overly brute forcing, because BLG has had some incredible setups to objectives this series.
And the thing that's giving me as a LCK representative hope is that 1.1k next to Viper's name, which is looking pretty good moving into this stage of the game as Elk throws down that Void Seeker. And Peanut, have to deal with Wolf just for a moment. That's going to be fine.
Pushing that,
moving back.
Pushing that bottom side for Bin, though, means he gets to rotate across first. So BLG going to try and gain access to the wave here, but this is so dangerous because Peanut ultimate can separate the fight and immediately start things off with a flash stun onto Shun over a wall. So this is risky for BLG trying to take this position.
Not to mention the fact that now we've got the heroic entrance being put up. There's a taunt landing onto Delight there. It takes a fair bit of damage from that Acathian Rain.
It's kind of tough for HLE to get in. They have Meganar, which will allow them to walk through a little bit, but they still don't have a great way of entering. Knight's holding that flank, and the Drake's going down fast.
Yep, Knight can always join the rest of his team as well, so it doesn't matter that he is moving away. HLE are just going to try and brute force their way in as Zeka with that heroic entrance looking to come forward. That's going to be the steal to come through. The bullet time is interrupted, that they all pile in on top of Viper, and Elk executes him in that back line. Peanut picks up his buckler, gets that shield. Shun taking down Zeka is at full health, and Knight is now trying to beat him down. Doran trying to exit this fight as Zeka is just getting thrown around like a ragdoll. Lands one chain, but it ain't enough, and it's a triple kill for Elk.
In the battle of the AD carries, it is Elk who stands tall. He had more agency on the Kaisa, and he was a secret agent in that fight. Assassinates Viper, shoves off Peanut, and immediately BLG. Are they looking at the Baron?
They're pinging on the Baron. The Kindred's going to be alive. He can run out fast. Knight and Bin are close. They were thinking about it.
Yeah, full information over to HLE as we can see here. The BLG marking it as a little bit too dangerous. Let's have a look at this fight one more time.
All eyes were on the Drake. Peanut gets the steal. Amazing. Watch the 80 carries, though. Viper starts channeling his bullet time. Bin, flash, stun on top of Onzer Khan. Elk over the top. That's what really does this fight in. And even though the Silas was able to approach the backside, That was all that was left.
And he used it on Doran, not on Viper. That's where the heroic entrance needed to be. Try and defend your guy doing the big damage.
But the thing was, it was big damage onto the Lamb's respite.
Yeah.
Shun popped it in the fight. They don't get to kill him. And Zeka's standing there kind of with his arms going, what do you want me to do, lads? Sure, there's a Kindred here, but I can't kill him. And the entire backline is being devastated.
Well, now, hopefully, we're going to reach some normalcy, as you can see.
Elk.
Oh, man. Elk, massive teamfight damage. That's going to bring them back to dead even in this game, gentlemen.
We've heard Emily talk about it on the desk, but to see this man become the player that he is absolutely incredible. It was constant limit testing when he was Jomong.
Oh my.
But now we might need to do it again. It's Hanwha.
They're flipping it.
They're just doing Baron.
Oh boy.
Well, let's see what Shun can actually do here. Of course, Kindred can cause some issues as now they get the information. They are going to rotate their way over. Humble Life Esports, are they looking for a turn or are they looking to burn? That's going to be the question. They break the blast cone. Has now been going to take the long way around. Does not have flash up and available. This should just be a 50-50. Is On going to get thrown away by that big Gnar. The taunt going to come down, lands only onto one as they get into the back line. The charm is beautiful here from Zeka. The bullet time this time will not be interrupted. And there goes the Galio. 4 versus 3 though now, as you can see, Peanut is down incredibly low. 3k health on the Baron and Shun. He dived back into the pit. Viper still so incredibly healthy as in they go onto the Lamb's respite. The Baron is included in this one, but it's kills now. Shun is dead, and the Baron is over to HLE. They'll wipe the fight. They get the Baron.
Just flip it. HLE start the Baron as 5. BLG try and contest. Zeka's holding the flank.
Look
they
at his
win
face.
The
it was
extended
ice
fight.
cold, man. You saw Zeka right there. He's like, we win these.
My
I don't know
God.
whether you always do, man.
I don't have the confidence to win those, but those boys right there do. When the chips were down, this looked dicey. Doran has to jump away. He's already used the ult. Delight by so much space. The interrupt from Peanut means that they get to kill Knight. Bin can't enter the fight, and it's the knock away at the last second from Shun. Let's Hanwha gather themselves once more.
I could not believe Shun jumped back in. I thought it was over. Just let the Baron reset, but he's thinking he can mind game it with the Kindred ultimate. He actually has to use it early to save On, and then Bin jumps in, I'd say a hair early to try and get some level of execute. Viper played this amazingly,
Oh, the
and they
double
clean
up.
up.
And the counter-strike there, as you say, was a little early. He doesn't time it the second that Kindred ult ends. And it means that they're in to bring it back.
Dandy are going to need some Hanwha life insurance after this one, I think, or at least some medical attention. I can imagine that this is certainly keeping them on their toes. And if there is going to be another game in this series, they're going to have to get through that one as well. 40 seconds on this Mountain Drake. Still soul point available for BLG. And 5,000 gold is what this lead has ballooned to with that Baron going down for HLE.
I just can't believe that's what got HLE here. Let's just start Baron with 5. Like, just
They
to
were
do
like,
that.
what would T1 do?
With the number of variables in the game, Kindred with Kindred R, Galio flying in after you, Kaiser Rakan being able to flank you from any angle, and it just works. And now they're in a position, 5,000 gold up, first setup on this next Mountain Drake, hoping to push us to a game 5.
In that moment, I kind of just, I want to have that thing from the Matrix, you know, where Morpheus is like, he's beginning to believe. That's what Peanut was doing when they decided to try and flip, is this is feeling a little bit dangerous here. Shun wanting to take down Zeka, you can see representing that. Wants to be able to grab a mark there as now Zeka with that heroic entrance up and available. They are on the Dragon now. Good flank angle here from Bin, looking to make his way forward, but they're spotting it. They know what's going on. BLG do grab control of this Dragon though.
Bin's behind them.
Yeah.
They have no vision. They don't know where Bin is.
Yeah, Bin is now going to move on in. They spot him. That is going to be the Kindred locking down the Drake as now Doran. Decent position. Double circles. Double Gallios. Everyone's in the sky, but it's On that goes down now into the backline. Goes Bin. Elk's going to join in the supercharger for all of that value. They take down Viper, and the Lamb's respite buys all the time in the world. HLE are now running for the hills. It's a double kill again for Elk, and the Kaiser is just massive in this game. They're not done yet. Knight going to get slowed down as Doran is in so much trouble. That's another bonk on the noggin, and Bin will be able to take him down. Now, Zeka, I don't think this turret is that safe because these guys are incredibly tanky, but Knight is by himself. So maybe Zeka just kind of kills him. We'll just have to see as the taunt will connect and his friends are going to arrive back in again with these chains as he's trying to turn it onto Shun. He goes golden. Shun is one auto from dead as they get the knock up the Kingslayer for the health. And oh my god, how is that so close?
It is punch for punch. It is circle for circle. It is everything thrown between these two teams. But the cooldowns just aren't there for Hanwha. When these fights start, the DPS is there for BLG.
The bounce back. BLG's 5,000 gold down. Not only do they get the Drake, watch the extended dive on a Diaper. It looks like the Viper dive has been repelled by the Sylas stolen Galio circle, but now watch. There's a mark on Viper. Bin can still jump. Kaisa flies in. Galio's still there. They're the ones that kill the AD carry first and shot on the backside by so much time.
And every time we look at these fights, it's that time boss. That little second that BLG need to finish someone and find their way back into the fight. And the burst damage that, in theory, should carry Hanwha with a gold lead like this is being denied. And it's BLG that are rallying here.
And a small bit to the end of that. Zeka trying to 1v3 and giving away his bounty at the end could be a tilter. That means to me he thought he needed to do that. They still had the lead. You cannot give away that 800 gold in that situation. BLG's back in it.
But Mountain Soul in 2.5 minutes. That can be the next war cry for BLG. But Hanwha already snuck away a Baron. They already played an incredible team fight around that objective. Viper just finished the Guardian Angel. Crucial items that can really be the difference maker, that can keep you here at this World Championship, or that could send you back home empty-handed.
As Peanut is really, the heroic charge Elk is going to get caught out, and with the steadfast presence he can't do anything, but the heroic entrance is going to be there, gets a decent knock up, but there's a Magnet Storm, as now it's Knight that's in trouble, doesn't have the same mobility as On, and he dies for his AD carry sins.
Peanut with the play, he hides in the jungle of BLG.
How is he there? I feel like we came back from looking at this beautiful stadium and then Peanut is just there.
But these are the same traps Hanwha set for FlyQuest, the same traps that are catching BLG. And just when it looks like BLG had got their footing, it's Hanwha fighting back now. They're going to be able to get the mid lane turret, but how much more can BLG go for? I don't think they have the cooldowns for this.
But Baron's in 7 seconds. Knight is up in 20 seconds. A 20-second difference. I think they're just going to rush it. Bin is maybe getting the turret. I think they just get this Baron uncontested.
Well, we'll see what they can actually do here as the teleport in. They do not want to give this one away. The Void Seeker is going to miss. And Harmalife Esports Doran on a decent flank angle here. He's going to charge up that Navar as Bin with a counter-strike. Doesn't land it onto too many as now Zeka threatening with the quickness. And Doran's hit that Mega Nut. Bin, he goes down first. One after the other. They're looking to try and take them down. As Harmalife Esports move back towards the Baron. Doran tanking up these Baron shots. And Shun is so dangerous.
I mean, the Baron resets. I think HLE could have stolen it.
Knight TP back in as well. He's trying to get the flank opportunity. The AD carries are just working.
Yeah, Shun is looking for a mark in the meantime. That's why we're zooming out so incredibly far. The teleport in from Doran. He's charged up all of that health once again. Missed time from On. Doesn't find the grand entrance. The Baron once again going down. Shun, good position. Dives towards Delight. Delight is going to be okay for the moment. Decent grand entrance is going to connect there as now Peanut gets the heroic charge into the wall. Knight going to take down Delight. They trade these supports as Viper in the Baron pit gets a full channel and Knight is buying so much time. Elk is also so incredibly strong. It's another one into the wall. The Lambs respite to keep them alive, but another set of knockups. This time from Zeka and Elk. Can you do it again? Is he going to find it? The chain is going to miss. The GA comes down. He takes down Viper. Misses one. Elk is going to dive and he saves the game.
The double AD carries never really left Worlds. BLG are fighting, firing, and shooting on all cylinders, but it's only getting us back to bloody square one.
What an unbelievable game. Peanut just does not care. He hits the Baron once again. There's so many insane things to note in this fight that could have turned it. First, both supports drop, but then I literally thought it turned multiple times. Poppy W interrupts Elk's ult, which saves Viper after. It's going to come up in a second. This is the thing you need to see. That Poppy W stops the Kaisa from executing Viper right at the end there. and then Elk sidestepping Zeka's Silas at the end to make sure it's a trade. Sidesteps that E.
And the stopwatch.
It's a 1v3, and he almost gets all of them.
The stopwatch on Peanut's ultimate. The sidestep from Zeka's chains, and he's barely able to get it. And you can see Shun, the delight that BLG were able to hold Hanwha off the Baron.
Holy moly. All right, and now we're back towards the soul point. So
soul point.
Here we go. Shun already starting this one up. And BLG, everyone can get in at a moment's notice. Teleports down for Knight, does not matter. Heroic entrance going to be there. There it is. But On is immediately dead. Now Knight in an awkward position, but Bin with that counter strike.
Peanuts.
It's the ulti to come through from Zeka as well, but already Viper is out of this one. Elk is going to be traded. It's even footing now for the start of it, as Peanut's down incredibly low, but he runs pretty quickly, and it's Doran that's going to go down first. Giga Bin is now amongst it. He's the one that has to carry this one through, as Delight running the wrong direction, and it's once again Zeka against the world, as Delight is trying to canter his way out of this one, and he might be able to get that flash off to escape, as the rest of BLG,
he's trying to buy time,
chasing him down. That's going to be it. The Dance of Arrows comes on through, and there's nothing that Zeka's going to be able to do about it. This should be Mountain Soul for BLG, and maybe a game-breaking win in this game.
It might just be the win. I don't see, with how close these fights have been, how you can overcome the Mountain Soul. Zeka might try something crazy with Kindred Ultimate, but I think he just knows that it's doomed if he would give away his life. So big win for BLG.
And it was a slow start for this Kindred. We were lamenting the stacking that was coming through from, but Shun has been magnificent in these fights thus far. The fact that you pick off Elk, you think that Hanwha have a chance, but Shun is still firing on all cylinders in the backline, and now they get to turn over towards this Baron once more.
It really has been that double 80 carry. The fact that Shun, with the first Kindred of this Worlds groups, or Worlds quarters, Worlds in general, is doing it.
And Wei could not have done this. It's Shun coming back onto BLG after his hiatus in summer to say, I deserve to play at Worlds. We got you here last year, and I swear we will get you to the semifinals again.
That hyperbolic time chamber is one heck of a place, Dagda. I would 100% agree, but let's have a look at this fight one more time, because this started off okay after On whiffed this for HLE.
I don't know what more HLE can do, because Peanut even blocks the Kaisa entrance one more time. Shun dodging the Meganar ultimate from Doran when Doran needed to save it for the big group might be one of the things that turned it. Bin also now level 17 jacks, 3.5 items, really just able to free hit throughout this fight. And there's too many things flying at Viper for Viper to stay alive.
Yeah, and it's Shun again, like dodging away from Zeka on the chains, having that black cleaver to make him somewhat tanky, and also shred for people like Bin. But Elk just going to push out this wave. I looked at that map, there was a lot more red members on that top half of the map, so he will be fine.
Yep, it was.
And they will start to push in.
When it was Zeka that was backing, I was thinking maybe he's going to look for something there, but like you say, a lot of bad guys in the area, and now with that Mountain Soul, with the Baron buff now rotating around BLG, this is a huge advantage for them. Not represented in the gold or in the items just yet, but the game state should be a massive balloon of wealth to be put into this red side team. BLG look to crash down this top side.
Baron and Soul, HLE have to get such a massively clean engage, and even then, there's so much that can buy time. Galio, Kindred.
Oh, Wallop going to come on through there, as now Zeka looking for Knight, but he's so tanky. This just takes way too long to try and take down the Galio, as Voidseeker going to connect onto Doran.
Bin is in the bot side.
Yeah, and Bin is just going to demolish this turret, absolutely. Past goes Peanut, going to be able to absorb the counter-strike, but look at this, it's just all of the structures falling one after the other. Inhibitor 1 will go down, Inhibitor 2 soon to follow. And BLG, this has been what they've been so good at this series. That's just playing the map, and they have the control in order to do so. I think dotting these I's and crossing these T's shouldn't be too much of a problem.
And wiping these brows when this is all done, my word.
Oh my goodness.
They must be stressed as Knight. Focused once more.
Yeah, Bin looking for that wraparound as well, On wanting that flank angle. See whether he can get in there, as Shun, you can see, wanting to try and find an avenue in. More Voidseekers going to be connecting here from Elk. They are really starting to hurt. Knight going to finish off this inhibitor because we know he can just heroic entrance to try and find more. HLE, you have to fight now if you want to try and keep your world's dreams alive. This is it. It is do or die in BLG. They can sense a rematch with Weibo. Decent interruption there as Bin can't come on through, and the channel of the bullet time is good, but Zeka kind of whiffs the heroic entrance, and BLG just stand back. They play patient, and they remove the last inhibitor, and they're now looking for Nexus turrets. So many buttons now on cooldown for Humble Life Esports. I think they've run out.
BLG have the TP though. Bin Reset was considering coming back into the fight, but it looks like they're just going to back away. The base is in shambles, and a stiff freeze from BLG.
Oh man,
is all it's going to take.
They are in such control of this game. Just a little bit more and they'll make it back to semifinals. They'll have confidence in the semifinals. They have to be going crazy with what is ahead of them now. And HLE would have to make some miraculous, desperate last stand. Mountain Soul, 3 inhibitors down. BLG fill in their pockets. Oh, look at the items. Look at the items on Elk right now. Max item Kaisa.
And this is the BLG everyone feared. It took them some time to show up to Worlds, but this is what made them so dominant in the LPL. This is the moment for them to show the world why they deserve to move to semifinals, why they deserve to be in the top contenders of 2024. But Hanwha have to find some way to prevent them. Zeka nearly at its full items. Maybe he can make it work on this Silas. This has been the pick of the series, but he might be about to get picked as nice.
Yeah, Zeka could be in trouble here. Shun doing so much damage at this point in the game. Kindred, her scaling is something we haven't really been talking about because it feels like the game hasn't let us, but Shun is so incredibly powerful now despite not having very many marks early on. He has 7 at this point in the game, and he can shoot them from so incredibly far away. One Nexus turret stands in the way.
Trying to walk it in.
Between BLG and another date with Weibo in a best of 5, and they're pretty good at those. They're now going to dive in, looking to finish this one off. Already the turret is going to be taken down. Peanut finds a decent ultimate. Yeah, that's just the Nexus rush. That BLG, they'll take down LCK's first seed and move to semifinals.
The #1 seed from the LPL struggled in Swiss. They were 1 game away from elimination in the last stage, but all sins are forgiven. They will now move on to the semifinals.
And that deja vu only continues here, as it was Genji with Delight, Doran, and Peanut that fell in the quarterfinals last year.
3 games
once again,
to 1.
it has happened. BLG
Damn, that
now,
sucks.
a date with Destiny.
We'll be back tomorrow for
Did the
T1
impossible
versus
in
Top
2023. We'll see
Esports
whether they can do it again as
in the
well.
3rd quarterfinal
Yeah,
match.
I don't know.
See you guys tomorrow.
I want to hear what
Thank
Emily
you for
Ryan has to
watching.
think of that series.
Yeah,
My word. I am